सर आवाज येत नाहीये.
हा आता येतोय काय?
नाही सर.
अजूनही नाही येते आवाज?
येतोय 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 आवाज येतोय.
आवाज
हा येतोय आवाज आता.
आवाज
हो येतोय.
हो.
व्हिडिओ जे चालवलेलं स्क्रीन शेअर केलेलं त्याचा आवाज येत नाही. आपण बोललेलं येत
ह्याच्यात जायला पाहिजे.
तेच म्हणतो मी, स्क्रीन शेअर जे आहे ना डॉक्युमेंटचा आवाज नाही. डॉक्युमेंट
The School of Agricultural Sciences offers scientific and technical farming education from certificate to postgraduate degrees. Krishi Vigyan Kendra is the project under Indian Council for Agriculture Research that targets rural farmers to update with the advanced farming techniques. Let us now take a quick tour of the divisions and centers at the university. Academic Services Division offers postgraduate level programs in communication. The division offers some innovative programs as well. The Examination Division conducts examination at all study centers in the entire Maharashtra, right from setting the question papers to evaluation. The Finance Division is fully in charge of the financial matters of the university. The Students Division deals with the regional and study centers in their administrative performance, guides them with the policies and strategies, and assures perfection in their services. The Print Production Division has taken entire responsibility of printing text and non-book material of the university as well. The Audio-Visual Production Center mainly focuses on production of instructive video support for various academic programs. The division also produces programs having archival value in the development of the university. The Library and Resource Center is known as LARC. The library supports all the academics in developing and updating the academic programs. Another features like development of programs for police administration, military jawans, housemaids, cobblers, Mumbai Dabbawalas, minority group of power loom workers, road transporters, barbers add to uniqueness of the university. Special facility of education to the prisoners has given this university an exceptional identity. Yashwantrao Chavan Maharashtra Open University is the first university to launch interactive web radio.
यशवंतराव चव्हाण महाराष्ट्र मुक्त विद्यापीठाच्या यशवाणीमध्ये आपल्या सर्वांचं मनापासून स्वागत.
The Commonwealth of Learning has awarded excellence to this university. This is an addition to several national and state level awards. This university has tied up with corporate for providing practice to its students and employment consequently. Unlike all other universities in the state, this university is 100% self-reliant for salaries to its employees. That's the reason why this university has a very few employees. The Yashwantrao Chavan Maharashtra Open University was named after Yashwantrao Chavan, Maharashtra's great political leader and the architect of modern Maharashtra. To memorize and enable society to take inspiration from his life, the university has set up a beautiful Yashwantrao Chavan Smriti Sangrahalaya, a museum in his memories in the university campus. People can see, feel and take inspiration from his life journey in this museum. This distinction has made this university an idol for others and a role model as well. Since its inception, all the vice chancellors dedicated themselves towards achieving objectives of this university. They really took humble efforts to reach the people deprived of higher education, set themselves geared up for flourishing this institution, and dynamically made every attempt to make it a mass varsity. Today, Professor E. Vayunandan leads the university as a dynamic Vice Chancellor. His approach to adopt the modern technology in education has given the university another boost of advancement. He has started using social media in education liberally. That has made the university more popular recently.
Yashwantrao Chavan Maharashtra Open University, having 8 schools offering 107 courses ranging from post-graduation, graduation, diploma and certificates. It has around 1800 study centers, around 8 regional centers, having an enrollment of 7.5 lakhs every year. I am proud to announce that this year we have entered into MOU with the Indira Gandhi National Open University to share the program from the IGNOU, and equally IGNOU will also share our material at their university. Apart from that, we also entered MOU with the Director General of Prisons to provide free education to the jail inmates. And another MOU we entered with the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology to sensitize 45 lakh people across Maharashtra under Prime Minister Gramin Sakshata Abhiyan. We are going to enter MOU with the Director General of Police training for extending BA in police administration. And another MOU which we are going to enter with the Army to provide BA in Army across the Maharashtra state. Another unique courses we offer under the Earn and Learn schemes. We offer courses to persons who are engaged in pharmaceutical industries and people who are also involved in computer related activities. We also offer some social relevant courses, like we have courses for maid servants, we have also courses for cobblers and also weavers. So we are also looking in this direction to also involve many other courses related to these social aspects. We are also making use of social media like Facebook, Twitter and WhatsApp. So in this we try to get the various feedback from students related to their admission, related to their examination, relating to their problems. So even we on our side, we also use this social media for informing about various activities and also various notification from time to time, and also try to understand through social media various problems which come to us and try to resolve this. Likewise, we are extensively using this social media in our university. Being in open and distance learning for last 30 years, I aim at first I want to strengthen the regional services and study centers across the Maharashtra. The other important is that the self-instruction material which I have prepared for offering as a course material to the students, we wanted to convert them, transform them into e-reader books and also enter into MOOCs and put them into open resources across the Maharashtra and across the globe. People will have the access to our course material. The other very important which I wanted to take it is the
फोकस करो इनको, अरे इनको फोकस करो, फोकस करो.
Good morning to one and all. I, Namita Joshi, feel great pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of School of Health Sciences of Yashwantrao Chavan Maharashtra Open University Nashik in today's webinar on yoga. We have all gathered online today on the occasion of International Yoga Day, which is celebrated all over the world on 21st June. This 2-day international webinar on yoga would underline the importance of yoga for maintaining good health and immunity, which is the need of the hour amidst the pandemic of corona. The School of Health Sciences has come up with a very interesting theme for the webinar, which is Atha Yoga Anushasana. Yoga essentially consists of meditative practices that lead to attaining a state of consciousness free from all modes of active or distracting thought. The Yoga Sutra was compiled in ancient times by the sage Patanjali in India, who composed and organized knowledge about yoga. Atha Yoga Anushasana is the first Yoga Sutra of Patanjali. Atha is a very auspicious word which means now. It calls our attention to the fact that something very important is to be taught right now, not once upon a time in the past or sometime in the future, but now in the present moment. The word Anu from Anushasana means atom, the minute, most indivisible parts that make up the whole. The world is composed of many lives. For Yogi, all individual atomic beings can be seen as woven together, making up the whole. Shasanam is from the root word shas, which means to instruct. So, when it is connected to Anu, it means that the atoms will instruct you. Nature, within all forms of life, will be your teacher. In this sutra, Patanjali tells us that it is possible for any of us to experience yoga and realize the truth, because this truth is available all around us if we are willing to look deeply into things. Atha Yoga Anushasana also means bringing discipline, that is Anushasan, into life through yoga at any time. For inauguration of the program, we have with us Honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. E. Vayunandan Sir, Director of School of Health Sciences Dr. Jaideep Nikam Sir. I request our speakers to virtually join the webinar: Sri Yogi Arvind, Dr. Samprasad Vinod, Professor Yadranko Miglek, Dr. Natalia Solve, Dr. Manmat Gharote, and Dr. Vijay Srinath Kanchi. A warm welcome to our speakers for the webinar. Yashwantrao Sawan, Maharashtra Open University, virtually felicitates all the speakers. We now begin with Deep Prajwalan, or the virtual lamp lighting.
Brahma Guru Vishnu Gurudevo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Tasmai Shri Gurave
Thank you, Dr. Vayunandan Sir, Dr. Nikam Sir, all the speakers of the webinar, and the faculties of various schools of the university. With this, I request our director, Dr. Jaideep Nikam Sir, to felicitate Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. E. Vayunandan Sir, with a bouquet of flowers. Thank you, sir. I request Dr. Nikam Sir to speak a few words about the webinar.
Good morning to all. Honorable Vice Chancellor of our university, E. Vayunandan Sir, our beloved Yogi Arvind Ji, Dr. Manmat Gharote Ji, Professor Natalia Solve from Argentina, Professor Jadranko Makli from Croatia, Dr. Samprasad Vinod, Dr. Vijay Srinath Kanchi, and all my friends and my brothers and sisters. As you all aware that yoga is an ancient activity and discipline. It is related to achieving physical, mental, and spiritual health. It includes various postures, chants, mantras, and meditation. It also includes breathing exercises. It helps to relax and calm the mind and soul. It helps to reduce daily stress level and life becomes healthier. The concept of Yoga Day was proposed by the respected Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi ji. The initiative was established in 2014 and the United Nations declared 21st June would be celebrated as the International Yoga Day. More than 120 countries are celebrating the International Yoga Day every year. As you all aware that Yeshwantrao Chavan Maharashtra Open University is one of the largest mega open university of India. And in this university, the School of Health Sciences have 60 centers of yoga across all the districts of Maharashtra. More than 3,500 students and 500 yoga teachers are associated with us every year. The cumulative students which have been passed from these schools, the number goes more than 20,000 students have completed their diploma of yoga teacher from Yeshwantrao Chavan Maharashtra Open University. During this pandemic situation, all students and the centers play an important role in building the inner strength and immunity of the society. On this eve, the school is organizing this seminar. This workshop will help all the students and all the members, those who are associated with this, all they will be enriched in their knowledge with this workshop. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the inspiring speech and the knowledge about yoga. I request Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. E. Vayunandan, sir, to speak a few words about the webinar.
Yeah, namaskar to all. First of all, I welcome you to this International Yoga webinar organized by our Yeshwantrao Chavan Maharashtra Open University School of Health Sciences. Respected Director of the school, Professor Jaideep Nigamji. Respected Yogi Arvind ji, respected Dr. Shyam Prasad Vinod ji, respected Professor Jaranko Mikli ji, Professor Natlia Solvi ji, and Dr. Manmat Garote ji, and Dr. Vijay Srinath Kanchi ji, and all the participants, faculty from the School of Health Sciences, students. I think this year, Yoga Day, 21st June, we celebrate International Day of Yoga. This year theme is yoga, that is yoga at home and yoga with family. Before we touch upon the various issues which I think the respected speaker will be discussing, I think this was no doubt earlier speakers like Nikamji and earlier, they were talking about that how this ancient yoga, which has been no doubt Patanjali, who was the father of the modern yoga, who has codified this, what we call into Yoga Sutras. And the importance was no doubt there in India and some parts of the world, but it has been introduced to the world by the, as rightly said by Professor Jaideep Nigam, by our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, and fortunately United Nations Assembly had accepted and it has been incepted on 21st June 2014, but it was started celebrating from 2015. So I was listening to one of the guru. He was saying that when we are teaching children all sciences of chemistry, sciences of physical sciences, environmental sciences, this is also a science of well-being. And what he said that it is a inner, I mean, it's a inner well-being. It is a science of inner well-being. It is nothing related with any faith or any religion. But some people who are practicing yoga, they connect with the religion. So, I mean, no doubt, ancient things, but equally what I feel, I think it is a real science for inner well-being. And that is what most of the yoga gurus talk about. And no doubt this has been practiced since ages in India. Now, fortunately, it has been introduced to world over. The other very important, the importance was felt these days. We all know that we are passing through a very critical phase, pandemic situation, that is COVID-19 since 2019 December onwards. And there is where I think, I mean, a lot of people are being, no doubt, I mean, having a, I mean, feeling, I mean, after the even recurring from the COVID, and some people lost a lot of family members. So there is a lot of psychological and depression among the various family members. I think one of the very thing which can rescue and which can make the people think positive and stay alive and think positive and away from the depression, I think, is the yoga. That is where I think that this year yoga theme is yoga in home and yoga with family, because you all know that because we have to maintain social distance, so I mean hand hygienic and all other things, mask. So this is what I think is the importance. Hopefully, very good theme taken today. I think our objective of webinar is Atha Yoga Anushasan, which is the basic objective, which I mean prescribed of the various aspects of yoga. I think it's a very good objective, and which has been taken by our School of Health Sciences. Hopefully, these 2 days, 16th and 17th, we get a lot of inputs. And one more thing I have to say about the School of Health Sciences, because they have a diploma in yoga teacher, very popular in Maharashtra. As rightly said by Professor Niyama, about 20,000 students have been passed out. Because recently I was in Jalgaon, I mean, I'm also heading the charge, as a charge of Jalgaon, North Maharashtra University. I was interviewing for a yoga assistant professor. There were about 12 candidates. All of them have done the your diploma in, and I was so, I mean, thrilled to look at them, their profile, seeing that first was diploma in yoga teacher from Yashwantrao, and there were 2 gold medalists in that. So the credit goes to the school and their, I mean, study centers, which are well connected and which have a very good practical component, and that is how they are highly successful. No doubt we applied for BA and MA also. Hopefully in future we will get it. With this, I again congratulate the School of Health Sciences and especially Professor Jaideep Nigam and this team taking this, I mean, theme of webinar and having this section, and hopefully it will be successful. We'll get a lot of inputs. By that, we can also add into our course, which is already there, and future courses also. With this, thank you very much for inviting me to this webinar, and wish you all the best. Again, I wish you all on the International Yoga Day, which will fall on 21st of June. Dhanyawad, Namaskar, Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra.
Thank you, sir, for your kind and encouraging words. It's always a pleasure to have you in every program. Audience, kindly note that since this is an international webinar, only the anchoring is in English, but the lectures will be in all 3 languages, Hindi, Marathi, and English. We begin with our first lecture for today. We have with us our first speaker for the webinar, Sri Yogi Arvind. He is a mystic spiritual leader, researcher of Vedas and Ayurveda, practitioner of Ashtanga Yoga and Kundalini Yoga, a devotee of Hindustani classical music. He is an expert of Yoga Sutras of Patanjali and Veda. He is engaged in his sadhana at the Yogi Arvind Ashram at the foothills of Himalayas in Rishikesh. His philosophy of non-violence as a means of social change is derived from Ashtanga Yoga principles. He has been promoting the message of Clean Ganga through his organization, Yogi Arvind Foundation for Preservation of Rivers, and has also initiated the campaign Blankets for Himalayas, started after the Uttarakhand floods to help poor people living in the Himalayan region. Presently, its focus is to plant 10 million Ayurvedic trees and educate people about them. We virtually felicitate and welcome Sri Yogi Arvind. I request him to deliver a lecture on his topic, Samagra Yoga.
अच्छा
Sir, please unmute and you can start with your lecture.
अपन म्यूट करते हैं हाँ नो आ गया नहीं हुआ
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, sir, we can hear you, sir. Please.
Yes. Yogena chittasya padena vacha malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena yopakarottam pravaram muninam Patanjalim pranjaliranastomi. We all are gathered together for a great initiative by very prestigious Yashwantrao Chavan Open University, Nasik. I am glad that the university has organized a webinar, an international webinar on a subject, Atha Yoganushasana, which is the first sutra of Patanjali's great Yoga Sutras that have guided yogis since many millennia. Honorable Vice Chancellor of the University, Professor Dr. E. Vayunandan, Honorable Jaideep Nikam, Dr. Jaideep Nikam, Director of the School of Health Sciences of the University, other respected speakers who are going to deliver their lectures, valuable inputs throughout the webinar, and all the participants. Yoga is a household term throughout the world today. From the South American small nation of Chile to Japan, to US, Canada, Russia, everywhere yoga has become, in Europe, East Asia, everywhere yoga has become a very popular practice. The University of Yashwantrao Chavan Open University also has produced more than 20,000 yoga teachers. That itself gives us a clear idea about how popular yoga is becoming all over the world. If you look at the world scene since the Second World War, or even before that, the Industrial Revolution and money making, rather, was the guiding force since then. The world has been guided by the force of profiteering, and various social and economic activities were revolving around that. And in the pursuit of profiteering and making money, the kind of planet we have produced that reached to the scary limits, from the pollution, from the contaminated minds, from the degradation of health, all sorts of problems gathered together, and we as a humanity, we as a conserver of our planets, we brought it to the brink of collapse. The kind of mental health issues, kind of physical health issues, kind of unrest in society, the kind of warlike situation in various parts of the world. So anything that would deprive us of peace, that was promoted, that was brought in place. So that was the kind of philosophy, that was the kind of mechanism we adopted, and we brought this world to the brinks of total collapse. The current pandemic situation has highlighted it even more, that the health of common humans all over the world was so compromised by our policies, collective policies, government policies, and the humans themselves by not respecting their health, by not attending, by not focusing on their health. So in all these, in this scenario, it's very, I would say, ideal time to organize such webinars to bring before the authentic philosophy and practice of yoga before the people. As I have been listening to the moderator of this webinar as well as the earlier speakers, importance is given on the Patanjali's treatises on yoga, which are famously known as Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, and which is a matter of pride that the universities are giving so much importance to this gem of our tradition. Patanjali's Yoga Sutras are the real gem of our Vedic tradition. So the world that we have been gifted by our ancestors, the modern world, I would say, is a world of chaos. We have experienced it. We all are seeking peace. We all are seeking good health. We all are seeking cordial relationships. So the only philosophy, the only methodology that can take us to the ultimate lasting peace, and that is the philosophy of yoga. Patanjali is a flag bearer of this tradition. There are hundreds of great sages who have contributed to this massive building of yoga that we have preserved, especially in India. Various parts of the world, yoga has been practiced through different means. But in India, we should take pride in continuing the practice and documenting it very well. So Patanjali's Yoga Sutras are there, Shiva Samhita is there, Shiva Sutra are there, Srimad Bhagavad Gita is there. All these scriptures, they are the documents on yoga only, the philosophy of yoga. So we as Indians should obviously take pride in documenting the philosophy of yoga and practice of yoga very well. Personally, I have gathered most of my knowledge by wandering barefoot in the small ashrams of yogis who have been preserving this practice through the tradition since many millennia. The sadhus are there, yogis are there, nathpanthis are there. So various traditions, they have kept this tradition of yoga alive in India. In Maharashtra itself, whatever Saint Naneshwar has, which is popularly known as Mauli, the knowledge which he has given is through Gita, but it's the highest yoga that he has preached for us, for us to follow. So in today's times, yoga has become more important than ever before. And this is kind of a remedy. This is useful, or this is more important as a remedy, because the world has reached to a state where the human minds have become the weak. They are the weak minds. Human bodies are weak bodies. The kind of pandemic situation has brought the scene before us, has proven that we need stronger bodies, stronger minds, and stronger societies, stronger relationships between among humans, relationship of humans with nature. And all this is possible through the practice of yoga. Patanjali has beautifully defined yoga as yogas chitta vritti nirodha. But the definition doesn't end there itself. That's just the action part of it. What is the achievement? What one has to achieve through the practice of yoga? That is tada drushtu swarupeva sthanam. That is, the practitioner of yoga should experience the real self of him or her. So who is he? Who am I? So the ultimate answer to this question, who am I, comes through the practice of yoga. Tada drushtu swarupeva sthanam. Swarup, that is my own nature. So I should practice, I should observe these restraints on the mind waves or mind operations until I reach the state where I experience my real self. So yoga is the highest philosophy. It's a science of consciousness. I have studied, I have read various books, but I have never come across any philosophy that so beautifully dwells into the concept of mind. So Patanjali is the greatest sage or the greatest philosopher who has worked on the concept of mind. In the beginning shloka, when I said, Yogena chittasya padena vacha malancharirasya cha vaidyakena. So Patanjali has worked on all the three aspects of life. The Nadamaya Brahma, Nada Srushti, Shabda, Vyakaran. So he has worked on the science of, the grammar of Sanskrit. So that is the Shabda Brahma. He has worked on the Malan Sharirasya, that is the physical body, and taking out the impurities from this physical body, and Yogena Chittasya. So taking out the impurities or calming down the operations of mind and bringing it to the state where the real self is experienced. And what is the real self? It's through this, when you reach the real self, through the state of spiritual absorption. So as Dr. Nikam said in his speech, that it is about the spiritual wellness. So this spiritual ultimate goal is reached through the practice of yoga. Patanjali divides the qualities of practitioners: Uttamadhikari, Madhyamadhikari, and Adhamadhikari. So the first is the Uttamadhikari, the one who is highly spiritually inclined. He obviously progresses well in the practice of yoga just by concentrating or just by entering into the meditative practice. So his mind is already focused on the divine. So abhyasa vairagyabhyam. So these restraints, he can through his efforts and through the detachment from the issues that is obstructing his goal to reach the ultimate reality or the ultimate real self. So focusing on that, concentrating on that, one can reach to the ultimate experience of samadhi, the spiritual absorption. That is what Patanjali says. And also he gives another category, that is the kind of materialistic, exhibitive mind, the materialistic mind. What does that mind do? That mind requires, it is kind of a wandering mind. It is getting involved into the all kind of materialistic pursuits. And hence it is a bit difficult to direct that mind to the spiritual practice of yoga, where the practice of penance, the practice of self-study, and Ishwar Pranidhan, the practice of absorption into the divinity, or focus on the divinity, uninterrupted focus on the divinity. These are the means which Patanjali gives. And why do we need to go through penance, through the self-study, through the focus on the Ishvara or the divinity, to Samadhi Karanartha, Klesha Tanu Karanartha. Samadhi means to reaching the spiritual absorption, and Klesh means the kind of afflictions we experience when we are entering, when we are following the materialistic life, and we are following the illusion by means of it. As I said, the universe has gone through the idea of profiteering. So we were running, we entered into the rat race of making money, making more and more money, getting more profits, bringing more machines, bringing more, what you can say, destructive machines into this world. Why did we do that? We wanted to get more money. Why did we do that? Because we thought that money will bring happiness to us. Money will bring luxuries to us. Money will bring lasting peace to us. It didn't happen. So this was an illusion. These are the afflictions. It's a non-science. It's an ignorance. So we entered into this practice. We were ignorant about our existence. We were ignorant about the strategies of life that we followed. And we, what did we get against it? We got kind of lack of peace of mind. We become
Sir, please, can you unmute your speaker? Sir, please unmute your mic.
होत नाही म्हणजे त्यांच्याकडून. खरं बोल मॅडम.
Hello.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah. So these afflictions which were ruling us by following the lifestyle of ignorance, we were not able to reach that ultimate peace. So the science of yoga is to bring ultimate peace to one's own personality, that is individual consciousness, as well as to the society. So we all are seeking peace, and there can be no other methodology or no other philosophy than yoga that can bring ultimate peace in today's world. It's a gladdening thing that all over the world, yoga practice is spreading like a wildfire. It may be in whatever form, that is the physical yoga, the yoga that is most popular, the asana part of yoga, that is being taught in the yoga schools in various countries, in India. But the peace which we are seeking is the next thing that should be achieved. So the philosophy should be given importance now. The physical aspect, which is known and which is popular and which has been spread through last few decades all over the world. Now the stage has come where we should focus more on the philosophy. We should focus more on the various scriptures on yoga to be popularized among the students. The Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, they don't talk only of the physical aspect of yoga, that is the practice of asanas, but they constantly talk of the ultimate peace or the samadhi, the spiritual absorption, reaching that state where the individual consciousness merges, unifies with the supreme consciousness or the divine consciousness or the godly consciousness. So experiencing the milan of Atma and Paramatma, which our yogis talk all the time. So we have to experience that. So ultimately, wherever we start, but it gets to the level where we have to get into the spiritual side of yoga. The physical side of yoga might be more popular, but ultimately we have to get into the spiritual side of yoga. And it is essentially a spiritual practice. Then why has the physical health practice, that is the asanas, is popular all over the world? It's because we are not even good enough in our physical health, and then getting or surpassing that and getting into the mind domain is the next stage. We first have to be ready physically. We should be able to sit in one position for longer time. So for that, we have to have strong and capable body. So the physical part of body is limited up to that. So Yamaniyama Asana, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, samadhi, the ashtang, the 8 limbs of yoga which Patanjali talks of. Of that, asana is a mere practice that makes the practitioner, makes the yogi, makes the student of yoga ready to meditate for a longer time without getting pain in the body or without getting any aches in the body. So what we have to do is surpass this physical practice to the internal practice, Antaranga Yoga. This is the Bahiranga Yoga. We have to understand the universe, Yamaniyama Asana. So Yam is understanding the universe and developing my own relationship with the universe through the restraints, Ahimsa Satya Asteya. So I am non-violent, I am speaking truth, I am not stealing, I am following the restraint of my sexual activity, and aparigraha. I am not getting the gifts, I am not seeking the favors. So through that, what do I achieve? I establish cordial relationship with the universe, the surrounding. How does it help? It helps whenever I'm entering into the higher practice of yoga, where I am meditating, where I am calming down the waves or the mind operations, cleaning my mind space, emptying my mind space. So when I enter into that practice, then any destructive thought through my discordial relationship with the universe will not prop in. So that's why, what should I do? I should establish cordial relationship with the universe that I do with the Yama. And then I enter into the Niyam. What is Niyam? Niyam are what you can say, the Vrata. Something that I observe proactively. Why? To make myself a stronger person to enter into the asana practice. So again, the Yama and Niyam both are about establishing a cordial relationship with the universe and purifying myself. Shaucha, Santosha, these are the, what you can say, Niyam. So instead of getting into these details, the purpose of bringing this issue in my talk is entering into the higher practice. Get ready for the, get ready physically as well as through the calmer mind, and then enter into the space or the Antaranga Yoga through Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi, and reach the spiritual absorption. This is the journey. This is the path of a yogi. The university, which is doing a great job by producing yoga teachers, and these yoga teachers, obviously, I'm confident, are taught about the philosophical aspect of yoga or the practice aspect of yoga. Yoga is not to be studied in the schools per se. It can be introduced, but yoga is an individual practice in the end. One has to practice it. One has to observe. The meditation, when we say, you don't have to sit all the time in a meditative pose that the yogis, the imagery which we relate yoga with the yogis sitting on the bank of the river or in his ashram meditating, so on and so. So we don't have to always get into that position. Just watch in the window, stand in the window and watch outside and get merged into the scene. Just be one with the scene outside. You are meditating. You are standing and you are meditating. You are getting one with the universe. You are losing yourself. So losing your individual consciousness itself is getting into the highest spiritual absorption. You experience that glimpse for a while. You may get back, but you have seen, you have tested that. You have tested that merger into the higher scheme, the higher consciousness scheme. Then try to get there again. Practice, reach there again, sustain, stay there for a longer time. And then you don't get out of that. That is the ultimate being where you can reach. Now, all these things, when the higher aspect of yoga are there, but our day-to-day lives are different. We have to get into conflicts. We have to get into exchanges. We have to get into relationships. We have to get into various activities. So we cannot devote so much time on all these things. Then these aspects can be utilized for increasing the focus, for establishing cordial relationship with the surrounding, with the fellow humans, with the relations, with the friends, with the colleagues in the office. We can utilize the same for uplifting or increasing the confidence level. So the aspects of yoga can be utilized at these are the lower levels of living, I would say. So at this level also, these aspects of yoga can be utilized. For example, I am a student of some subject and I'm finding it difficult to focus on my subject. So I'm weak in my studies. Or I'm a researcher and I'm not able to focus on my studies. What should I do? Take a lamp, sit in the room, light the lamp, ensure that the room is not windy or getting any breeze there. The flame, which is a constant flame, watch at it, look at it. And without movement of eyelids, try to look at the flame for a long time. what does happen? The most of the information that is supplied to our brain goes through our eyes. So here we are focusing on the light. So we are supplying light to the brain to process. So what happens is kind of enlightenment, a small experience. Your eyes may get watery, but what will happen is, by forgetting all the thought processes, your brain, your mind, your whole existence is brought to the concept of one-pointedness. So the focus is achieved. So it's a technique, it's a methodology, adopt it. So there are so many techniques. The yogis or the sadhus, they say Shiva has told Parvati more than 1 crore techniques of meditation. So there are so many techniques. I just gave you one example. Just looking at the flame, you can achieve that level of calmness and one-pointedness, which is very necessary. So this ekagrata that can be achieved through such small type of techniques. So from the global scene to bringing it to the individual level, from the global spread to bringing it to raising one's own consciousness, yoga is useful in every aspect. On the global scene, as I said, if individuals become conscious, then obviously the global scene will be a scene of consciousness. There will be more peace workers in this universe than the spreaders of hatred. How will we achieve? That would be achieved through the practice of yoga. So from the physical practice to the higher inner practice, which is Antaranga Yoga, a yoga can be taken to the various levels. Practice of yoga can lift one's consciousness to higher levels, to the ultimate level where one merges, one unifies, one becomes one with the highest consciousness. To spread such practice and to be a successful practitioner, I wish all the participants who have proactively taken yoga as a method of bringing change in one's life, my best wishes to them. The university, which has taken great initiative by developing so many yoga teachers through the teachings of physical aspects of yoga, and I'm sure the philosophical aspects are also included in it. My best wishes to the university. I thank the university for inviting me to present my thoughts on yoga in this webinar. Thank you very much. Hari Om.
Sir, thank you, sir, for sharing your knowledge about the power of yoga, meditation, and highlighting the importance of yoga in maintaining health in terms of mental, spiritual, and physical well-being. Peace of mind is of utmost importance. As rightly said, health is wealth. Something that we have all realized from the pandemic of corona is that Jaan hai to jahan hai. Thank you, sir, once again. We now move to the second lecture of the webinar. We have with us our second speaker, Dr. Samprasad Vinod. I request Sri Shubham Bongwe to introduce him to the audience.
नमस्कार, मी शुभम बोंगळे, शैक्षणिक संयोजक, योग विषय योग, अथ योगानुशासन या शीर्षकाखाली आपण या आंतरराष्ट्रीय योग वेबिनारचे आयोजन केलेले आहे. याचाच अर्थ अथ योगानुशासन म्हणजे चला तर आता योगाच्या अनुशासनाचं पालन करूया. यासाठी आपल्याला योग काय हे अगोदर समजून घ्यावं लागतं. माझ्या वाचनात आलेला एक चांगला असा विचार मी तुम्हाला सांगू इच्छितो. योगा मीन्स ॲडिशन टू स्ट्रेंथ, ॲडिशन टू एनर्जी, ब्युटी टू बॉडी, माइंड अँड सोल. अशा पद्धतीने योग केवळ शरीरालाच नाही तर मनाला आणि आपल्या आत्म्याला सुद्धा सुंदर बनवतो. अशा प्रकारे एक अशी सुंदरता आपल्या जीवनाला, आपल्या जीवन दृष्टिकोनाला कशी मिळेल याचा संवाद आपल्यासोबत साधणार आहेत डॉक्टर संप्रसाद विनोद. सर्वात प्रथम त्याचा परिचय देणे मला इथं अगत्याचं वाटतं. डॉक्टर संप्रसाद विनोद, आपण MBBS, MD आणि PhD आहात. आपण आंतरराष्ट्रीय ख्यातीचे योग गुरु आणि आध्यात्मिक मार्गदर्शक आहात. तुम्हाला गेल्या 45 वर्षांपासून योग क्षेत्रातील प्रशिक्षण देण्याचा आणि योगोपचार करण्याचा अनुभव आहे. त्याचबरोबर गेल्या 45 वर्षापासून आपण योग क्षेत्रातील संशोधनाचा गाढा अनुभव घेता. आपण शवासन, ध्यान, स्वानंद, सहयोग साधना, आत्मबोध साधना या पद्धतींचे उद्गाते आहात. समाजातील लोकांची वैयक्तिक उन्नती आणि परिणामी समाजाची उन्नती ही संकल्पना निर्माण करण्यामागचा तुमचा उद्देश आहे. आपणास अनेक पुरस्कार प्राप्त झालेले आहेत. त्यापैकी काही पुरस्कार म्हणजे योग महर्षी पुरस्कार, सूर्य दत्त आणि अंकुर जीवन नॅशनल लाईफ टाईम अचीवमेंट अवॉर्ड योग क्षेत्रातील अतुलनीय कामगिरीसाठी आपणास प्रदान करण्यात आलेला आहे. आपण लिहिलेल्या 9 सिक्रेट्स ऑफ सक्सेसफुल मेडिटेशन या पुस्तकासाठी साहित्य गौरव पुरस्काराने आपणास सन्मानित केले गेले आहे. तसेच राज्यस्तरावरील महाराष्ट्र रत्न भूषण पुरस्कार आणि इतर अनेक पुरस्कारांनी आपल्याला सन्मानित केले गेले आहे. त्याचप्रमाणे अनेक क्रीडापटूंना आपण मानसिक आरोग्यासाठी मार्गदर्शन करत असता. अशा बहुआयामी व्यक्तिमत्वाकडून योग विषयक जीवन दृष्टिकोन समजून घेणे आपल्यासाठी एक चांगली पर्वणी आहे. मी डॉक्टर संप्रसाद विनोद यांना विनंती करतो की त्यांनी आपण सर्वांशी संवाद साधावा आणि आपले विचार आमच्या समोर मांडावे. डॉक्टर संप्रसाद विनोद.
सगळ्यांना मनापासून नमस्कार.
Welcome, sir. I request him to deliver a lecture on his topic, योग एक जीवन दृष्टि.
योग एक जीवन दृष्टी हा विषय खूपच बेसिक आहे, खूपच मूलभूत आहे. पण कार्यक्रमाला, माझ्या भाषणाला सुरुवात करण्यापूर्वी मी आपल्या YCMOU चे आपले युनिव्हर्सिटीचे VC डॉक्टर वायू नंदन, नंतर स्कूल ऑफ हेल्थ सायन्सेसचे संचालक डॉक्टर जयदीप निकमजी, माझ्या आधी बोललेले योगी अरविंदजी आणि इतर माझ्याबरोबर बोलणारे स्पीकर्स, तर आणि ह्या कार्यक्रम अटेंड करणारे वेगळ्या वेगळ्या इन्स्टिट्यूट्सचे जे साधक आहेत किंवा विद्यार्थी आहेत, त्या सगळ्यांना उद्देशूनच बोलतोय मी. सुरुवात जरा मराठीने केली, पण मला असं सांगण्यात आलं की मराठी आणि इंग्रजी असं दोन्ही तुम्ही बोला. तर पहिल्यांदा या सगळ्यांचे आभार मानणं, विशेषतः यशवंतराव चव्हाण महाराष्ट्र ओपन युनिव्हर्सिटी आणि त्याचे सगळे कार्यकारी मंडळाचे सदस्य आणि हा कार्यक्रम ज्यांनी ऑर्गनाईज केला आहे ते सगळे त्याचे सदस्य, त्या सगळ्यांचे मराठी भाषेमध्ये आभार मानणं हे मला जास्त योग्य वाटतं. विषयाला इंग्रजीतनं सुरुवात केली की जरा थोडंसं आंग्ल भाषा म्हणलं की थोडा दुरावा निर्माण होतो. पण हा विषय इतका छान आहे की ज्याच्यात दोन्ही मराठी आणि इंग्रजीमध्ये बोलण्यासारखं आहे. की आपण असं म्हणतो ना की जशी दृष्टी तशी सृष्टी. आता इथे आपण आय एम सिटिंग इन पुणे अँड क्लायमेट ऑफ पुणे is same for me while I'm sitting in my consulting room, and people outside the room also have the same climate. There are a couple of my students sitting in my consulting room to attend this program. They are also in the same climate. But our inner state, our response to this climate is not necessarily same. Climate is same, but our individual responses are different because we are different individuals. And it is true with other human beings outside this, our yoga center, Shanti Mandir in Pune. So the climate is same, but the response of each individual is different because each individual is relating with this climate differently. And this difference is because the individual conditioning is different. म्हणजे काय होतं की आपल्यावरती जे संस्कार झालेले असतात वर्षानुवर्षांचे, त्याच्यातनं आपण घडत जात असतो आणि ते जे आपलं घडणं असतं त्यानुसार आपण परिस्थितीला प्रतिसाद देत असतो. खरं म्हणजे बऱ्याच वेळेला आपण रिॲक्ट करतो, रिस्पॉन्ड क्वचित करतो. जास्त वेळा आपण प्रतिक्रिया देतो, प्रतिसाद कमी वेळा देतो. आणि अडचण अशी असते की प्रतिक्रियेमध्ये इंडिव्हिज्युअल लाईक्स अँड डिसलाईक्स त्याच्यात इनकॉर्पोरेट झालेले असतात. आपल्या आवडीनिवडीनुसार आपण प्रतिक्रिया देतो आणि त्याच्यामध्ये थोडंसं इम्पल्सिव्हनेस असतो. कोणीतरी आपल्याला आरे म्हणलं की त्याला लगेच कार्य म्हणणं, एक प्रतिक्रिया झाली. पण थोडं आरे म्हणल्यानंतर विचार करून योग्य प्रकारे प्रक्रिया देणं, प्रतिक्रिया देणं, तर तो प्रतिसाद असतो. म्हणजे परिस्थितीचा योग्य प्रकारे रिअलिस्टिकली सत्यान्वेषी दृष्टीने अभ्यास करून आपल्याला एक दृष्टी मिळाली की कसं रिलेट व्हावं परिस्थितीशी, एखाद्या माणसाशी, एखाद्या विचाराशी, एखाद्या संस्थेशी, एखाद्या प्राण्याशी, एखाद्या वनस्पतीशी. कारण हे सगळं जग जे आहे ते सगळ्यांचं मिळून बनलेलं आहे. The whole, we are just parts of the whole universe, and this universal existence consists of so many things, so many objects, so many animals, animate and inanimate world, so-called inanimate, because what we call non-living is not necessarily non-living in the sense of the term, because all of us, including non-living objects, are made up of atoms and molecules, and at subatomic particulate level, the whole existence it throbs in harmony with each other. So whatever happens in my mind has to have some repercussions at farthest corner of the globe, whether I want it or not, whether I like it or not, whether I approve of it or not. But this is going to happen with every object that makes this universe. So our relationship with this world around us becomes very important, and it has to get converted from reaction to response. Because reaction is impulsive. You may go wrong in giving reactions, while giving reactions. आरेला कार्य म्हणलं तर भांडण निर्माण होऊ शकतात. पण आरेला कार्य म्हणण्यापूर्वी थोडासा विचार झाला मनामध्ये आणि योग्य प्रकारची प्रतिक्रिया दिली गेली तर बऱ्याच वेळेला अरे आणि कार्य याच्यातनं निर्माण होणारी बरीचशी भांडणं टळू शकतात. So if we are able to convert our responses, our reactions to responses, then many of our problems will get diluted and would get automatically solved because we have changed our outlook towards relating with whatever we are relating with at a given moment. So this the whole existence, come to think of it, is nothing but relationship. So to be related is being alive. So relationship means everything. And I'm happy that this particular webinar is based on the first sutra of Patanjali, Atha Yoga Anushasanam. So we have to understand what Atha means, what Yoga means, what Anushasan means, what Shasan means, and what Yoga Anushasana means. Because all these terms have very deep meaning here. And they are not just words with just verbal meaning, but those meanings indicate something which is far beyond verbal meaning. So unless we are able to capture the deeper meaning of each and every word related to yoga philosophy, we'll not be able to really do justice to the basic and very life-encompassing and life-touching science and art of yoga as proposed and founded and presented by the greatest of all yogis, Patanjali Muni. So for doing justice to his treatise on Patanjali Yoga Darshan, as it is popularly known as, we have to practically spend time, many hours, many weeks, many months on contemplating each and every word he is speaking about, for discovering the deeper meaning of it. Because superficial meaning is known to everybody, but the deeper meaning, when we explore, dive within ourselves and explore our inner world and figure out or try to point out, pointedly know what each word means. And we have to also simultaneously try and get to the experiential understanding of each and every word, because unless we do that, we'll not be able to capture what Bhagavan Patanjali wants to convey. We'll be just diluting or distorting his teachings according to our individual needs and idiosyncrasies and thoughts and our sanskaras and everything. हे काय होतं की या सगळ्या सूत्रांचा, भगवान पतंजलींच्या सूत्रांचा जर अभ्यास करायचा असेल तर त्या सूत्रांच्या खोलात गेलं पाहिजे, शब्दार्थ समजला पाहिजे, त्याचा लक्षार्थ समजला पाहिजे. प्रत्येक शब्दामध्ये आपण मुळात जाऊन भगवान पतंजलींना नेमकं काय सांगायचं असावं याचा शोध घेणं हे अत्यंत महत्वाचं आहे. नाही तर काय होतं की हे सगळे आपण माहिती गोळा करतो. आता भगवान पतंजलींच्या या पतंजली योगदर्शनावरती हजारो त्याच्यावरती निरूपणं झालेली आहेत, हजारो त्याच्यावरती लोकांचं म्हणणं मांडलेलं आहे लोकांनी, अनेक विद्वानांनी. पण तो ह्या सगळ्या जंजाळामध्ये आपण जर सापडलो तर त्याच्यातला जो एक्सपिरियन्शियल भाग आहे की जो फार प्रेशस आहे, तर तो बाजूला राहतो आणि आपण नुसते शब्द घेऊन बसतो. तर तसं होऊ नये हे फार महत्वाचं आहे. आणि त्यासाठी वी हॅव टू लर्न टू शिफ्ट फ्रॉम रिॲक्शन टू रिस्पॉन्स. आणि that would happen when our outlook, when our approach to life is changed from within. When we look at our own life, we look at ourselves as this individual with certain name given, and that's how we call as ourselves. But in reality, our individual identity as given by our parents and by the society is too limited. The real identity is our essential self or core self or real self or Atman or Purusha or whatever name you want to call it. But essentially it means our individual consciousness, individual energy, or all-pervasive universal energy principle, which can be considered as Brahman. All-pervasive universal energy principle, and part of it that resides in us can be called as individual dimension of that universal energy. So when we go through yoga practices properly, giving due justice to its meaning, deeper meaning, and try to understand its experiential dimension as well, then we will be in a position to really understand what Patanjali Muni has to say, rather than just listening or reading his scriptures and just capturing or collecting the words and information about what Patanjali says. So this is very important, and this depends on how we relate with ourselves and with the world around us. As rightly mentioned by Yogi Arvind, that our relationship with the world around becomes cordial. That's the word he used. It becomes soft and gentle because all the yamas that are mentioned, they indicate that we'll be of less nuisance to the world around us. And that is very important, because if you are causing nuisance, then you become conspicuous, you become visible to people around you, but still you are causing trouble to them. So they are not happy with you. They are not necessarily able to relate with you well. The nuisance value असं म्हणलं जातं ना, की एखाद्या माणसाचा तो त्रास किती देऊ शकतो सगळ्या लोकांना, याच्यावर त्याची वर्थ समज धरली जाते. आणि ते पॉलिटिकल असतं, राजकीय पातळीवर असतं. पण तो सर्वसाधारण नियम म्हणून जर पाहायला गेलं तर आपल्यापासून इतरांना जर कमीत कमी त्रास झाला तर आपलं त्यांच्याशी असणारं नातं चांगलं राहतं. आणि आपलं नातं जर सगळ्यांशी चांगलं राहिलं तर आपलं जगणं सोपं होत जातं. आणि आपलं जगणं जर सोपं झालं तर आपल्या मनातल्या विचारांची संख्या कमी होत जाते. आणि ती जर कमी झाली आणि आपण जर निर्विचार होऊ शकलो तर त्या निर्विचारतेमुळे आपल्याला आपल्या स्वरूपाशी पोचणं आणि त्या स्वरूप स्थितीची प्रचिती घेणं आपल्याला शक्य होतं. आणि स्वरूप स्थितीची प्रचिती जर आली तर तिथे असणारा जो चिरंतन आनंद आहे, चिरंतन शांती आहे, समाधान आहे, प्रसन्नता आहे, तर ती जर आपल्याला अनुभवता आली तर त्यांनी आपला अप्रोच टू लाईफ, ॲटिट्यूड टुवर्ड्स लाईफ, ही सगळी दृष्टी आणि सगळंच बदलून जातं. म्हणजे काय होतं की when we are trying to relate with the outside world, if we understand basics of yamas as mentioned by Bhagwan Patanjali, to understand them thoroughly well and not just practice them, but imbibe their deeper meaning and live up to that meaning. Like ahimsa is not supposed to be just practiced, it has to be lived. And it is possible to live ahimsa only when you're able to be with your own thoughts, which are sometimes violent, and if you're able to deal with them well, if you understand the violent nature which might come up within yourself, and if you relate with that well, and if you understand the deeper meaning and repercussions of that himsakata, that violent nature, and how it disturbs your daily routine, daily life, and how it brings suffering in your life. If you are able to become aware of this, experientially understand this, then you are in a position to really digest what ahimsa is. And then you don't need to practice ahimsa, but by looking at ahimsa and its repercussions, that is, those repercussions are causing problems in your life, and that is bringing suffering. And if you're clear about that, then ahimsa will emerge from that understanding. And then you'll not have to practice ahimsa, but ahimsa will be your own nature, which may take some time, but unless ahimsa becomes your nature, you'll not be able to really understand or relate with the world well. For this to happen, again, when we are talking about relationship, a relationship with the world starts from your relationship with yourself. And Yama and Niyama are, although essentially yamas are meant for relationship with the world, but it's equally true with us as well. Because if we are not violent with ourselves, yes, we are violent with ourselves sometimes. And that violence comes from not being able to establish proper, friendly and playful relationship with us. And if we are not able to do that, we won't be able to really understand what we are. And we just remain restricted to our individuality in the form of what people call us with a particular name. But that's not the only identity. If you want to understand the essential energy principle within us, then we have to be free of thoughts. And for being free of thoughts, we have to start from body and gradually proceed towards mind and then go beyond and then experience that higher state of consciousness. For being able to relate with body, when we start doing yoga practices, say asanas, for instance, if we properly understand the basic 4 characteristics, features of a yoga posture, and if we imbibe that meaning well, and if we actually put those principles into practice in every asana we perform, and all the activities that we perform during the course of the day, if those principles are applied, then we'll get the results of asanas in more substantial and more fundamental way. And those 4 principles, as depicted by Bhagavan Patanjali, as most of you are aware, that stability is one of the factors. Comfort is another. Effortless ease is the 3rd factor. And 4th is communion with infinity. The yogic terms utilized for this are sthirata, that is stability. Sukhadata is like comfort. Prayatna Shaithilya is effortless ease. And Ananta Samapatti is communion with infinity. And if we are able to really go deep into this, understand it well, and while doing all the practices that we perform as yoga postures, if we are able to apply this, deploy this understanding while doing these practices, then you'll be able to see the difference. Because if you are doing it just as physical exercise, then you'll be benefited only at physical level. But if you follow these 4 principles, then you'll see that not just body, but your mind is also becoming flexible. And flexibility of body brings physical fitness, but flexibility of mind brings mental fitness, because life, as I said initially, that life is all about relationship. And if you're mentally flexible, you'll be able to adapt to any situation without much difficulty. And if you're able to adjust with everything in a very gentle and very polite and very soft manner, then it is very easy to bring about radical transformation in the quality of your relationship with yourself and others. I'm talking about relationship with oneself, that is ourselves. While doing yoga practices, if we follow these principles, you will realize that you are actually becoming very friendly and playful with yourself. Like doing posture, if you are able to perform it at a certain level on a particular day, you are not supposed to push yourself into doing it further, but you have to just wait patiently until the time comes when your body gets adjusted to the increased stretch put on it, and it's able to live with that stretch without any difficulty. So we have to remember that Atha Yoga Anushasanam. So you're starting yoga on a particular day. Whatever you do, you get some experience on that particular day. Next day, when you start doing yoga, you don't have to do it from what you have experienced on the previous day, but you have to start afresh every day. And that approach to doing yoga every day with fresh mind, without any preconceived notions about it, without carrying any memories about the previous experience, then it will remain a series of fresh experiences coming one after another over a period of time. And the freshness of experience of yoga every day, yoga practice every day, will actually help you develop right approach and right attitude towards yourself to begin with. Because when you're gentle with yourself, you'll be gentle with others as well. when you're comfortable with your own self, when you're doing a yoga posture, you're following this principle that I'll stay within my limits, within my comfort zone, then you'll be dealing with yourself in a very gentle manner. Then you'll not push yourself into reaching the final posture fast in a month's time or 2 months' time or 1 week or 1 day. So that pressure would be eliminated. काय होतं की खूप जोर लावून आपण करायला लागलो तर त्या सगळ्याचा परिणाम काहीतरी विचित्रच होतो आणि आपण आपल्याशी जसे वागतो तसे इतरांशी वागतो. आपण आपल्याशी फ्रेंडली असलो, प्लेफुल असलो, कम्फर्टेबल असलो तर आपण इतरांबरोबर कम्फर्टेबल राहतो. आणि तसं जर राहिलं तर आपल्या नातेसंबंधांमध्ये खूप आमूलाग्र बदल घडून येतो. आणि तसा तो घडून जर आला तर आपलं जगणं सोपं होत जातं. The bottom line reality is that we have to understand yoga for making our daily living easier, comfortable, and with less problems. Or if the problems come, we are in a position to understand them and resolve them in much better manner. So whatever we understand under the yoga practice has to be put into practice so that our life becomes more easy. And that is the most fundamental part we have to keep in mind, because when we are saying that Atha Yoga Anusasana has to be said every day, means whatever experiences you get are not just शिळ्या कढीला ऊत आणणं म्हणतात ना, की आहे कढी शिळीच पण आज ती गरम केली आणि त्याला ती ताजी म्हणून आपण घेतली तर त्याला ती फ्लेवर येत नाही, ती चव नसते. कारण योग ही एक प्रवाही स्टेट आहे. ती अशी स्टॅटिक नाही, स्थितिशील नाही आहे, ती तर गतिशील आहे. कारण आपल्यातला जो कॉन्शियसनेस आहे तो प्रवाही आहे, तो कुठे असा अडकलेला नाही आहे आणि त्याचं महत्व फार मोठं आहे. So important part is if we are able to practice or understand those 4 principles: comfort, stability, effortless ease, and communion with infinity, like oneness. If we are able to experience our individual consciousness being one with the universal consciousness, if that happens, if we are able to comprehend that, understand that, and put into practice, and experientially understand it, then there'll be complete transformation, because our notion, our our illusion that I'm just this body, mind, intellect complex, and if I'm not able to comprehend what is beyond my individual identity, then I'll be losing something very substantial in my life. I have to learn to reach to the core of my being. And the tool that is very useful for reaching the core is being completely free of all thoughts. And for being able to do that, we have to start from body and then proceed to mind and then go beyond. So if you're doing yoga practices following these 4 principles and doing them at ease, being comfortable with your body, you're not pushing, then whenever you reach a certain point of doing a posture and you notice that there is some stretch produced in the muscles, and that is causing little discomfort, but not unbearable discomfort. म्हणजे असह्य ताण निर्माण होतं इथपर्यंत केलं नाही असं, तर जेवढा सुसह्य ताण आहे तेवढंच केलं. And at that point, if you relax and let the muscles become free of all tensions, at that point, what you are doing is you are going through the experience of physical stretch, and during that stretch, if you are able to relax, you'll notice that your mind is automatically getting relaxed, because body and mind are intimately connected with each other, like other parts of the body as well. But body and mind are very deeply and intimately connected. So whatever we do at body level has to have some repercussions at mind level. And whatever you do at mind level is going to have some impact on the body. So at body level, while doing yoga posture, if we are able to maintain the final position we reach and experience that stretch, and while experiencing, if we are able to relax, then we are indirectly training our mind to become stress-free when we are going through stressful situation. So what is stretch at physical level is stress at mental level. If you are able to handle physical stretch well, you'll become automatically capable of handling stress at mental level. So this is the beautiful part of yoga, that if you put those simple things that Bhagavan Patanjali has told us about yoga posture, if we are actually able to put it into practice while doing yoga postures, and not just while doing yoga postures, but also doing all the activities throughout the day. If you put those 4 principles into practice, then you will notice that by and large, you are comfortable with yourself, and your mental peace would not get easily disturbed by the vagaries of life, by various instances happening around you. It will not irritate you, it will not disturb you in the sense of the term. म्हणजे बाहेरच्या गोष्टींनी विचलित न होणं असं होईल. आपण जर योगाची साधना करताना आसनांच्या पातळीवरती जरी आपण 4 आवश्यक गोष्टींची खबरदारी घेतली, तर त्याचा परिणाम म्हणून आपल्याशी जे शरीराशी नातं आहे ते छान निर्माण होईल. आणि तो जो ताण आहे शरीराच्या पातळीवर येणारा स्ट्रेच जो आहे, ओढ जी बसते आपल्या स्नायूंना, तर ती असताना आपण जर रिलॅक्स व्हायला शिकलो, तर मानसिक पातळीवरती ज्याला ताण येईल, तर त्यावेळेला कसं रिलॅक्स व्हायचं याचं ट्रेनिंग आपल्याला त्यातनं आपोआप मिळून जाईल. आणि त्यात खूप महत्वाचा भाग जो शेवटचा मुद्दा जो आहे, अनंत समापत्ती, तर ते जर आपल्याला चांगलं जमलं, तर ते तर अध्यात्मातली सर्वोच्च अनुभूती आहे की इंडिव्हिज्युअल कॉन्शियसनेस बिकमिंग वन विथ द युनिव्हर्सल कॉन्शियसनेस, communion with infinity. That's the term used for Ananta Samapatti. If you are able to actually understand this, first comprehend its meaning at verbal level, and then experientially understand what it actually means. And that is like highest state of consciousness, what is possible through Adhyatma. And if it is possible, then what Bhagavan Patanjali says is Tato Dhanvana Vigata. That's what I was referring to earlier. That you'll be living in the same world, but you'll have changed outlook towards relating with it. Because through yoga practice, I'm just talking about asanas. I have not even touched pranayama, but just asanas, doing in the right manner, right perspective, taking all the entire concept in perspective. If you are able to really put it into practice while doing yoga postures, as well as doing all activities throughout the day in the same manner, and this is going to help you not get easily affected by the dualities of life. That means good and bad, worthwhile and not worthwhile, likable, not likable, then mine and yours, then near and far. All these dualities, dichotomies, keep us affecting all the time. And these dichotomies are actually human-made. They are not existent in the world around us. You don't see, at least with our mortal eyes, we don't see the trees fighting with each other. And they are hurting each other. They are just living their own lives. They are not comparing themselves with each other. Like, I haven't seen a rose flower comparing itself with another flower. चाफा म्हणूयात आपण त्याला. आणि गुलाबाच्या फुलाला असं खूप अभिमान वाटतो आपल्या गुलाब असण्याचा, आणि चाफ्याला आपलं कमी असण्याचा फार वाईट वाटतं. असं काही पाहायला आपल्याला मिळत नाही बाहेरच्या जगामध्ये. आपण जे मानवनिर्मित जे सगळ्या द्वंद्व आहेत, चांगलं वाईट, भलं बुरं, शुभ अशुभ, हे सगळं आपण निर्माण केलेली आहेत. प्रत्यक्षात अस्तित्वामध्ये फक्त प्रत्येक वस्तू जशी आहे तशीच असते आणि तशी ती पाहू शकणं ही फार मोठी एक दृष्टी असते. आपलं जे बघणं असतं ते नेहमी आपल्या भूमिकेतनं असतं. आपल्याला जे दिसतं ते आपल्याला जे असतं ते दिसतच नाही, जे आपल्याला वाटतं ते दिसतं. हा सुद्धा एक विचार करण्यासारखी गोष्ट आहे की आपल्याला जे बाहेरचं जग दिसतं तर ते जसं आहे तसं नाही दिसत. तर आपल्याला जसं ते दिसायला हवं असं वाटतं तसं दिसतं. म्हणजे तुम्हाला सांगतो की आपण जर आतून असे छान अवस्था जर आपली असेल, कम्फर्टेबल असतो, आनंदी असतो, तर आपल्याला सगळं जग आनंदी वाटतं. आपण जर दुःखी असलो तर जग सगळं दुःखी वाटतं. कारण जग दुःखी किंवा सुखी नाहीये, तर आपण सुखी किंवा दुःखी होतात आणि आपण आपल्याला जे वाटतंय ते बाहेरच्या जगावर सुपर इम्पोज करतोय. वी आर जस्ट त्याच्यावरती आपण आपल्याला जे आतलं जे वाटणं आहे आपलं, तर त्याच्यावरती आपण आरोपित करतोय. त्याच्यावरती त्या चष्म्यातनं आपण त्या जगाकडे बघतोय आणि तशा बघण्यामुळे ते जग आपल्याला डिस्टॉर्टेड दिसतंय, जसं आहे तसं दिसत नाहीये. तर ते आहे तसं दिसायला लागणं हीच विद्या आहे. पुढे सूत्र भगवान पतंजलींच्या याच्यात आलेलं आहे की जे दुःखमय आहे ते सुखमय वाटणं, जे अपवित्र आहे ते पवित्र वाटणं, आणि जे अनात्म आहे ते आत्म वाटणं, आणि जे अविद्या जी आहे, म्हणजे अविद्या क्षेत्र मित्रेषाम असं म्हणलेलं आहे की अज्ञान हे सार्वत्रिक आहे आणि पुढच्या सगळ्या क्लेशांचं तो त्याचं मूळ आहे त्याच्यामध्ये, अविद्येमध्ये म्हणजे अज्ञानामध्ये. तर सुरुवातीला मी म्हणलं तसं रोज आपल्याला नव्याने योगाची अनुभूती घ्यायची आहे. याचा अर्थ असा की आपण असं गृहीत धरतोय की अविद्या किंवा अज्ञान हे ऑल परवेझिव्ह आहे आणि ते कुठल्याही क्षणी आणि क्षणाक्षणाला निर्माण होत असतं आणि ते आपल्याला क्षणाक्षणाला दूर करावं लागतं. आणि त्यामुळे अज्ञान निवारण ही आयुष्यभर चालणारी प्रक्रिया आहे. म्हणून तशा अर्थाने सुद्धा रोजच आपल्याला योगाचा अभ्यास नव्या दृष्टीने करायला लागतो. नवनवीन दृष्टी रोज घ्यावी लागते. पण ह्याचा अर्थ असा नाही की आपल्याला आधीचं कळलेलं नाहीये. ते सगळे जे कळलेलं असतं तर ते असतंच आपल्याबरोबर. त्याचं सारच आपल्या दृष्टीमध्ये सामावलेलं असतं आणि त्या दृष्टीनेच आपण आपल्याशी रिलेट होतो आणि जगाशी रिलेट होतो. आणि ही जी दृष्टी आहे आपली, आपल्याकडे पाहण्याची आणि जगाकडे पाहण्याची, तर ही फार मोठी देणगी आहे आणि हे आपल्याला भगवान पतंजली देतात. म्हणून आपल्याला त्यांच्याविषयी कृतज्ञता वाटली पाहिजे आणि आपोआपच वाटायला पाहिजे. नाही तर म्हणजे त्याचा अभ्यास करायला लागला तर जाणवतं असं की किती बेसिक गोष्टी ही व्यक्ती बोलतेय, की तू आतून बोलते, किती फंडामेंटल बोलते. आणि ते जे मी म्हणलो तुम्हाला की तुम्हाला जर भगवान पतंजलीचं समजून घ्यायचं असेल तर तुम्हाला पतंजलींच्या ज्या अवस्थेतनं ही सूत्र त्यांना स्फुरली तर त्या अवस्थेशी मिळती जुळती अवस्था काही प्रमाणात तरी तुम्हाला अनुभवता आली पाहिजे. कारण नाहीतर मग त्यांची अवस्थाच जर कळली नाही तर त्यांचे शब्द कसे कळणार. असं एक वचन आहे की शिवो भूत्वा शिवम भजेत. तुम्हाला जर शिवाची उपासना करायची असेल तर शिव म्हणजे काय तुम्हाला कळलं पाहिजे, तरच तुम्ही शिवाची उपासना करू शकाल. So if you want to really follow what Patanjali is saying, Bhagavan Patanjali is saying, then we have to try our best to comprehend and feel from which state of being all these sutras, all these aphorisms, verses are coming. And unless we are able to reach there, we will not be able to really appreciate what he is talking about. And unless we do that, it is not going to make much of difference in our life or life around us. So in a sense, what I'm trying to communicate or convey is our attitude and approach to life depends on our understanding, complete understanding about ourselves. So we do understand that we are limited self on one hand, and we do also understand that we are energy principle on another hand. And as things would have it, all these two diverse kind of diverse faculties that we are born with are going hand in hand throughout our life. So we cannot say that I don't want this limited identity. I just want my universal identity and I want to just stay there. It's not possible. We have to, the fact that we are taking breath inside and breathing out, it means that we are making use of outside air to survive, and by taking oxygen inside and by giving out carbon dioxide. So point is, all that exists in this world is made up of basic principles, basic, essential, primordial principles. And because we are all made up at physical level of the same principles, it also means that all the differences, all the diversity that we experience at material level is only superficial. But underlying oneness of the entire existence is the real truth, underlying truth. And at material level also, because we are made up of the same principles, Prithvi, Aap, Tej, Vayu, and Akash. Prithvi is matter, Aap is water, Tej is energy, Vayu is air that we breathe in and breathe out, and Akash is space. So if we are made up of these principles, these basic primordial principles, shall we say, primordial principles. So if we are, everything is made up of the same with a little variation in the composition, a percentage of each ingredient. Principles, not ingredients, 5 ingredients we are all made up of. So if at material level also, if we are the same, then we have to be ready to accept each other as we are. And this sense of acceptance of ourselves as we are, and everybody around us as one he or she is, that will take away a lot of problems in relationship with others. Because when you do not accept somebody, then there is some strife, there is some tension in that relationship. But if you just accept the person as that person is, then you'll be able to relate better, because you'll be, if you're in a higher position and if you're kind of telling what job to be done to that person, then you'll take that person's abilities and limitations into account and tell a job which is suitable for his abilities. And if you're able to do that, that person will be able to deliver goods better. And if he delivers, he feels better, then your job will get done better. And then your relation with that person will also improve. Because nobody is perfect in this world. So if somebody you're working with is making mistakes, it's because you're not communicating properly. You're not related with that person properly. You're not informing properly what you expect from that person. And if that relationship is proper, and if your intonation is proper while giving instructions, if you're really looking at that person at par with you, and not that you are superior and that person is inferior and you are sending commands and getting work done, and that will disturb our relationship with the person, and that will destroy or disturb our whatever we are doing together, that will also get affected. But if you are gentle with yourself, polite with yourself, friendly and playful with yourself, then you will automatically be gentle with others, polite with others, friendly with others, and playful with others. That will take away a lot of stress, lot of tensions, lot of problems from our life. And that will make our life more tension-free, stress-free. And that will help us live complete life. And what I was getting to earlier, because we are made up of both these dimensions, physical as well as material reality and spiritual reality. And if they are going to stay together as long as we live, we have to accept the fact that physical reality, or our limited self and our unlimited self, we have to establish cordial relationship between them two. And whatever we understand, experientially understand through our yoga sadhana, has to be put into practice while living our daily life, because that's where the challenges are, that's where the problems are. And if we're really living up to the philosophy of Patanjali, then we'll be in a much better position to apply that understanding while relating with the daily life and making the most of it. Because the relationship will be governed by very deep experience and understanding, and that will have an impact on your daily life. And if that happens, then you'll be actually living yoga. You'll not be just talking about it, but actually living. If you're actually living, that will have a different kind of effect on others who come in contact with you. म्हणजे काय होतं की आपल्याशी नातं जर खूप फ्रेंडली, प्लेफुल आणि असं साधं असेल, तर आपल्या सगळ्यांशी तसंच नातं निर्माण होतं. तर आपण आपल्याला स्वीकारलं जसे आहोत आपण तसे, कारण आपणही काही सर्वगुण संपन्न नसतो, आपल्यातही काहीतरी कमतरता असतात. पण आपल्याला जसं जर स्वीकारू शकलो तर समोरच्याला स्वीकारू शकतो, त्याला जर स्वीकारू शकलो तर त्याच्याशी त्याच्याबरोबर काम करताना त्याला जे शक्य आहे तेच आपण देऊ, त्यामुळे त्याला ते करणं जमेल. ते जमलं की त्याला बरं वाटेल आणि कलेक्टिव्ह टीम वर्क म्हणून आपलं एकत्रितपणे काम जास्त चांगलं होईल, त्याचा परिणाम आणि समाधान सगळ्यांनाच चांगलं मिळेल. तर म्हणून हे खूप महत्वाचा भाग आहे की आपल्याशी असणाऱ्या नात्याच्यावरती आपल्याकडे पाहण्याची दृष्टी बदलते किंवा त्याच्यावरती आधारलेली असते, आणि त्याच्यावरच आपली बाहेरच्या जगाकडे पाहण्याची दृष्टी आधारलेली असते. How you relate with yourself and how you look at yourself and how you look at outside world and how you relate with outside world, they are all interdependent. So yoga essentially teaches us to improve our relationship with ourselves. Just for instance, that body, mind, intellect, emotions and spirit that we are all made up of. Come to think of it, body has different functions to perform, and it is a completely different domain of activity as compared to mind. So thoughts are completely different. Emotions are again different. The intellectual processes that we go through, analytical process, then assessment, and coming to some valid conclusions about various solutions that we have arrived at while solving problems. All those processes are different from each other. The bodily activities are different, mental activities are different, intellectual are different, emotional are different, and spiritual are different. But the composition of all of them together is what we are as human beings. So if we are able to understand what is the role of body in my life, what is the role of mind, intellect, emotions, respectively, and if we then give them due justice and understand them well, their role in our life very well, by relating with them well, then comprehensively, collectively, we'll have relationship with ourselves better. And what we relate at body level would have impact on other levels as well. And if we are related well with our mind, it will have impact on other areas as well. And that is made possible through various yoga practices, because asanas essentially will help you understand your body well. And that will also have impact on other dimensions, as I earlier mentioned. That if you're practicing yoga properly, then you'll not get easily affected by external vagaries of life. So what that means is it will not affect your mind. So by doing yoga practice posture properly, it will also help you not to get affected at mental level. If you are emotionally disturbed, if you are practicing pranayam and that stability comes, that will help you remain emotionally stable despite the challenging situations. If you are in a turmoil, not able to arrive at any conclusion because your intellect is not working properly on a given day, and if your relationship is proper, if you understood what intellect means and what is its role in your life, and if your relationship is proper, then you'll not face severe problems when you are in a fix. म्हणजे ज्याला आपल्याला अडचणी येतात तर त्या समजून घेत असताना त्याची जी सगळी डायमेन्शन्स असतात ती जर आपल्याला कळली, म्हणजे ते काही फक्त फिजिकल प्रॉब्लेम नसतो, फक्त मानसिक नसतो, फक्त भावनिक नसतो, फक्त बौद्धिक नसतो, सगळ्याचं एकत्रित असं मिश्रण त्या समस्येमध्ये असतं. तर ते जर आपल्याला समजून घ्यायचं असेल तर आपल्याला आपली बॉडीच्या क्षमता आणि मर्यादा कळलेल्या असल्या पाहिजेत, की जे आसनं करताना आपल्याला समजतात, प्राणायाम करताना समजतात, की आपण कितपर्यंत श्वास घेऊ शकतो, कितपर्यंत सोडू शकतो, या सगळ्या मर्यादा असतात. तर ते जर आपल्याला योगाचा अभ्यास करताना, साधना करताना जर खूप चांगल्या प्रकारे सगळ्या एरियाशी आपण परिचित झालो तर आपल्याशी नातं खूप छान निर्माण होतं. आणि ते जर निर्माण झालं तर आपला आपल्याकडे पाहण्याचा जो दृष्टिकोन आहे तो स्वीकाराचा जास्त चांगल्या प्रकारे होतो. आणि तसा तो झाला की इतरांच्या बाबतीतही ते संक्रमित होतं. आणि तसं होणं याचा अर्थ म्हणजे कम्प्लीट लाईफ जगणं झालं. म्हणजे दैनंदिन जीवन आणि आध्यात्मिक जीवन हे एकमेकांशी मेळ खाणारं असण्याची गरज आहे. आणि अध्यात्माच्या पातळीत आपण जे काही मिळवतो त्याचं टेस्टिंग आपण दैनंदिन जीवनामध्ये करू शकतो. म्हणजे आपल्याला समजा असं वाटलं की ध्यान करतोय मी बरेच दिवस आणि माझं मन खूप शांत झालंय असं मला वाटलं, आणि मी कुठेतरी बाहेर गेलो एखाद्या कामासाठी आणि धक्काबुक्की करून एखाद्याने लाईन मोडून माझं काहीतरी थांबलो होतो मी बराच वेळ आणि तिथे तो आला माणूस पुढे, तर त्यावेळेला जर माझी शांती टिकली. आता शांती टिकणं याचा अर्थ आपण दरवेळेला पडतं घेऊन कोणी आलं तरी त्याला पुढे जायला देणं असा अर्थ नाही त्याचा. आपण खूप साधेपणाने त्याला पोलाइटली सुद्धा सांगू शकतो की जरा तुम्ही बरेच जण थांबलोय आम्ही, तुम्ही जरा मागे थांबला तर बरं होईल असं सांगणं शक्य असतं. तर हा सुरुवातीला म्हणलो तसं हा रिस्पॉन्स देणं झालं. आणि रिॲक्ट करणं म्हणजे काय, खेकसणं, त्याच्यावर ओरडणं. ओरडल्याने काय होणार, तो तात्पुरतं हे होईल, पण तो जर फार दांडगा माणूस असेल तर तो सगळ्यांच्या वरती कुरघोडी करून ते सगळ्यांच्या पुढे जाऊन उभा राहील आणि सगळे बाकीचे नुसती बोटं मोडत बसतील. पण तुम्ही जर योग्य प्रकारे योग साधना करत असाल तर तुम्ही तिथे जाऊन त्याला सांगू शकाल निर्भयपणे पण पोलाइटली की अरे हे असं करतोयस तू, जरा थोडं थांबलं तर बरं होईल, कारण बरेच जण थांबले ना, मी तर सगळ्यांनाच हे होतोय. तर अशा ह्यानी तो प्रश्न सोडवणं हे ऍप्लिकेशन झालं. आपण जे ध्यानाच्या सहाय्याने जी मनशांती मिळवली तर त्याचं ऍप्लिकेशन करताना जर आपल्याला हे साध्य झालं तर त्याचा अर्थ असा झाला की ते आपल्या जीवनात उतरलं, ते अहिंसा आपल्यात उतरली. म्हणजे अहिंसा प्रतिष्ठित झाली तर त्यातनं वैरत्याग होतो ना, असं भगवान पतंजली म्हणतात. ते वैरत्याग होतो का नाही खरोखर, हे अहिंसाची प्रतिष्ठा आपल्यामध्ये केल्यानंतर असं प्रत्यक्षात होतंय का नाही हे पडताळून पाहायला पाहिजे ना. तर तसं आपण पाहण्याची फार गरज आहे. नाही तर मग फार ते सुपरफिशियल अभ्यास होतो योगाचा. योगाचा अभ्यास हा खरा खूप डीप अभ्यास आहे, आयुष्यभर चालणारा आहे. आणि क्षणाक्षणाला तुम्हाला येणारे जे अनुभव आहेत तर ते इतके प्रकाशक असतात, इतके एनलाइटनिंग असतात की त्यांच्या बरोबर त्या अनुभवांबरोबर राहिल्याने सुद्धा खूपशा गोष्टी उलगडत जातात. तर म्हणून we have to remember that yoga is not just to be practiced for 1 hour a day. It has to be put into practice and it has to become a way of life in true sense of the term. being a way of life doesn't mean that you're doing yoga morning, afternoon, evening, and night all the time. All the time you're doing yoga practices. That's not what yoga way of life means. Yoga way of life means you're able to comprehend yoga philosophy in its essence. You are able to capture the essence of it, capture the meaning of each and every sutra, and you have kind of verified its meaning, not because you don't trust what Patanjali has to say, but you are curious to discover what he has to say, the deeper meaning of each and every sutra. If you are diving deep into each and every sutra, trying to figure out what exactly Bhagavan Patanjali is saying, then you'll be able to come up with pearls of wisdom that he had seen, and you'll be able to put them into practice, and you'll be able to see the validity of each and every concept that he's talking about. And to verify that validity driven by your genuine curiosity is not like showing disrespect towards Patanjali, but in fact you're doing justice to his teachings, because just blind faith in what he's talking about and just doing something mechanically would not please Bhagavan Patanjali. He would get pleased only when you actually understand in a very deep sense what he's talking about. And you are also verified. Every guru, real guru, encourages his students or disciples to question what he is talking about. Not just blindly follow, but ask questions. Feel free to ask questions. Get things clarified. Get everything experientially understood. And that's the only way to please Guru. Not just by kind of flattering him or pleasing him by material matter, material presents or presentation. He'll be pleased only when you're true to yourself and you're doing sadhana well and you're experimenting all the time and you're full of eagerness to know the truth, underlying truth, not just visible truth that is available to everybody, but you are very, very deeply motivated, strongly motivated to discover the underlying reality all the time. So that's what yoga way of life means. And that kind of living makes a huge difference in the way you live in this world, your inner world as well as outer world. Because these two worlds are just names given to areas or domains, but actually they are intimately connected. So what you are inside is reflected in your outside behavior, and what you are outside gets carried into your inside world. So they are connected with each other all the time. Whatever thoughts we cherish or develop, they are based on all the experiences related to the outer world. And whatever we perform in the outer world is entirely dependent on what experiences we have had in the past from the outer reality, outer world. So they go hand in hand. So we have to we have to understand and accept this reality. I mean, the only way to live wisely or sanely is to understand the truth and live up to the truth. That's the only way of living sanely. म्हणजे आपल्याला जर चांगलं जगायचं असेल आणि कसं सेन म्हणजे इन्सेन म्हणजे वेडेपण, वेडा होणं, आणि सेन म्हणजे जो शहाणा झालाय, शहाणा म्हणजे अतिशहाणा नाही, तर जो समजदार झालाय. तर समजदारीने जर आपल्याला जगायचं असेल तर आपल्याला खूप काळजीपूर्वक प्रत्येक गोष्ट मुळात जाऊन समजून घेण्याची प्रक्रिया आपल्याला जागी करावी लागते. तशीच आपण जागी केली आणि आपल्याला ते पल्स ऑफ विजडम जे म्हणजे त्याचे जे मौक्तिक आहेत, विचारांचं जे धन आपल्याला भगवान पतंजली त्यांच्या सूत्रांच्या द्वारे देत आहेत, तर ते शाब्दिक धन नसून अनुभूतीजन्य ज्ञानाचं धन आहे. ते आपल्याला तशाच पद्धतीने मिळवलं पाहिजे. आणि ते जे मिळवायचं असेल आपल्याला, तर आपल्याला त्यांच्या अवस्थेशी मिळती जुळती अवस्था आपल्याला कशी होईल याच्यावरती भर दिला पाहिजे. आणि त्याच्यासाठी आपल्याला प्रयत्नशील राहायला पाहिजे. त्यासाठी आपल्याला जे जे त्यांनी सांगितले ते सगळं पडताळून पाहायला पाहिजे. पडताळून पाहण्याचा अर्थ आपला त्यांच्यावर विश्वास नाही असा नाही, पण आपल्याला खूप चांगल्या प्रकारे ते कळून घ्यायचंय, नुसतं वरवरचं नकोय आपल्याला. अशा प्रेरणेने जर तुम्ही ते करत असाल योग साधना, तर त्याचे परिणाम तुम्हाला खूप वेगळ्या प्रकारचे मिळतील आणि ते जास्त डीपर आणि जास्त सिग्निफिकंट असतील. सो talking about yoga as an approach to life or attitude towards life, we have to look at two domains, internal and external, as I said, and we have to integrate both by learning how to deploy your understanding about yoga in solving day-to-day problems. And when you solve your problems well, your mind will remain close to silence while doing meditation. And if your mind becomes completely silent with each day meditation, because you are relating with mind also, and you are not reacting to thoughts, but you are just letting thoughts come, letting them stay, letting them go. And you are not saying that a particular thought should come or should not come. And therefore, you are able to relate with your mind well. And therefore, you are able to understand your mind well, accept it well, and then you are able to solve your problems better through such understanding. And when the problems get sorted out reasonably well, then your mind remains silent, more or less silent. And when you start doing your yoga sadhana, at that time, if your mind is close to being silent, then when you get into meditation, your mind will quickly become, or readily, not quickly, but readily become silent. And when it is completely silent, you'll be able to sense the presence of your spiritual dimension or your real self or the Atman or Purusha, but you will. And if you're able to get there, it's not like getting there, but discovering its presence, understanding its presence, experientially understanding your real self, then you'll automatically become very blissful, profoundly peaceful, then full of energy, full of what can we say? Utsah element, full of energy, full of zeal, prasannata, full of zeal, उत्साहीपणा, हे सगळं आपोआपच येईल तुम्हाला, कारण तुम्ही त्या स्वरूपाच्या जवळ गेलाय, त्याच्या अस्तित्वाची तुम्हाला जाणीव झाली. आणि स्वरूप हे सच्चिदानंदमय असल्यामुळे तुम्ही जर त्याच्या संपर्कात आला आणि तुम्हाला ते डायमेन्शन सुद्धा जर तुमच्या लक्षात आलं की तुम्ही नुसतं नामरूपात्मक शरीर नाही, तर ते सुद्धा तुम्ही आहात हे जर लक्षात आलं आणि त्याची ओळख तुम्ही वेळोवेळी जीवन जगत असताना दैनंदिन तर ती करून घेत राहिला आणि तुमचं वागणं हे विचारातून येणं हे भौतिक पातळीचं जगणं झालं आणि निर्विचारतेतनं तुमचं वागणं घडणं, स्पॉन्टेनियसली घडणं, स्फूर्तपणे घडणं, ही स्पिरिच्युअल जगणं झालं. If you are able to reach there, when your mind is completely silent, you are in tune with your core self, which is nothing but Satchidananda. Sat is existence, Chit is consciousness, and Ananda is bliss. So three things together are a part and parcel of our true self. And if we are able to actually experience this, I'm not saying that intellectually understand, but actually experience this real self, then your life will have a paradigm shift from thoughtfulness to freedom from thoughts. And all the thoughts will emanate, will come out from the foundation of no thought state. And that will have a different flavor, different complexion altogether. म्हणजे आपण ज्याला विचारांमधनं जगत असतो, विचाराच्या पातळीवर जगत असतो, तर ते जगणं खूप सुपरफिशियल राहतं. कारण विचार हे खूप आपल्याला वरवरची माहिती देत असतात. पण निर्विचारतेमध्ये आपण जर प्रस्थापित झालो, रोजच्या साधनेद्वारे आपण स्वरूपापर्यंत पोहोचू शकलो, त्याची प्रचिती घेऊ शकलो, इथल्या आनंदाची, शांतीची, समाधानाची, प्रसन्नतेची प्रचिती घेऊ शकलो आणि तिथे आपलं चित्तवृत्ती स्थिरावल्या, तर त्यातनं जे आपलं वर्तन घडेल ते वेगळ्या प्रकारचं वर्तन असेल. कारण त्या वर्तनामध्ये तुमच्या वृत्तीतल्या परिवर्तनामुळे तुमचं वर्तन बदललंय असं होईल. आणि वृत्तीतलं परिवर्तन कशाने होईल, तर आपण ज्याला आपल्याला सगळ्या बाजूने छान समजून घेऊ, आपल्याला विशुद्ध ज्ञान होईल, आपली अविद्या पूर्णपणे दूर झालेली असेल आणि ती ज्ञानदृष्टी मिळाली, म्हणून आपली वृत्ती बदलली आणि वृत्ती बदलल्यामुळे वर्तन बदललं आणि ते बदलल्यामुळे आपलं सगळ्या जगाशी असणारं नातं खूपच वेगळ्या पातळीवर गेलं. So what I'm saying is by doing yoga sadhana every day in a right manner, if you are able to reach no thought state, you'll be in tune with your core self, which is Satchidananda, which means you are able to experience what true happiness means, true peace means, true satisfaction means, and true zeal means. If you are able to do that, then your behavior would be determined more by your no thought state or thought-free state than thoughtful state. Because thoughts are limited reactions given to external stimuli that keep on entering yourself through all organs of knowledge. But if you are able to understand everything well, take things in perspective, then things are going to be completely different. And so that's what I essentially mean. In conclusion, I can say that by doing yoga practices properly, I'm just talking about, because we don't have enough time to cover all aspects, but I'm just saying that your relationship with yourself by doing yoga practices, just yoga postures properly, can help you to be free of the disturbances that are caused by external reasons. That's a big thing. Tato danvana bhigata. You are not affected by the dualities of life, and life is nothing but dualities. So if you are living in this world surrounded by dualities, dichotomies, and you are not affected by that, then you'll definitely lead a sane life. So in conclusion, I would say that by doing yoga practices properly, this is just asana, but if you are able to do everything, take all aspects of Ashtanga Yoga into account, go deep into it, and have a conglomerate effect of all those dimensions, then our life is going to be in unison with each other. Like all these 5 dimensions I mentioned, body, mind, intellect, they'll be in harmony with each other, because they are not interfering each other, but they are maintaining their own areas of expertise, and they are not, whenever needed, they help each other, but otherwise they are free of that bonding between them, and there'll be a complete harmony between them. And that you'll be able to experience when you do yoga practices properly, and all the aspects of yoga are taken into account, and you understand the lakshartha, not just verbal meaning, but what it actually means. And it takes quite some time, and that you won't mind spending that time only when you are very, you have a very strong drive to discover truth. And discovery of truth is the real motivation that you have. And if that approach is developed, then you'll automatically have right attitude and approach towards yourself and others. म्हणजे असं की फक्त योगाच्या आसनांच्या विषयी बोलून सुद्धा आपण जर बाहेरच्या द्वंद्वांच्या आघातापासून स्वतःचा बचाव करू शकलो, तर सगळ्या बाजूनी जर आपण छान खूप भरपूर वेळ देऊन योगाचा अभ्यास केला, खूप खोलात गेलो आणि त्याचं एक्सपिरियन्स म्हणजे अनुभूतीजन्य ज्ञानाला सर्वाधिक महत्व दिलं, तर त्याच्यातनं आपले जे सगळे शरीर, मन, बुद्धी, भावना या सगळ्यांना न्याय दिल्यासारखं होईल आणि त्याच्यातनं आपण व्यक्तिगत पातळीवरती सुद्धा एक परिपूर्ण व्यक्ती म्हणून जगू शकू आणि बाहेरच्या जगाशी रिलेट होताना सुद्धा ती स्वीकाराची भावना जर असेल आणि ज्ञानदृष्टी जर आपल्याला मिळाली, आपल्याला समजून घेतल्यामुळे मिळालेली ज्ञानदृष्टी, तर त्यांनी सुद्धा आपलं नातं खूप जगाशी वेगळ्या प्रकारचं निर्माण होईल आणि त्यातनं आपलं जो मिळेल शांती, समाधान, आनंद तो खूप टिकाऊ स्वरूपाचा असेल, चिरंतन स्वरूपाचा असेल. तर अशा स्वरूपाचा आनंद आपल्या सर्वांना मिळावा अशी मी मनापासून प्रार्थना करतो आणि YCMOUनी मला तुमच्या सगळ्यांशी संवाद साधण्याची संधी दिली त्याबद्दल मी YCMOUच्या सर्व पदाधिकाऱ्यांचे मनापासून आभार मानतो आणि इथेच थांबतो. मनापासून पुन्हा एकदा नमस्कार.
प्रकारे तुम्ही धन्यवाद सर. अगदी चांगल्या प्रकारे तुम्ही वैयक्तिक उन्नती आणि त्याच्याद्वारे सामाजिक उन्नती कशी साधता येईल याबद्दल तुम्ही संवाद साधला. मला खूप तुमचे काही जे मुद्दे आहेत ते खूप आवडलेत आणि आज आपल्या बरोबर तुम्हाला सांगायला आनंद असा होतोय मला का आपल्या बरोबर संपूर्ण महाराष्ट्रभरातील आपल्या योग शिक्षक पदविकेचे संपूर्ण म्हणजे ते सांभाळणारे, ते केंद्र सांभाळणारे केंद्र संयोजक, केंद्र प्रमुख आपल्या बरोबर आहेत. तर त्यांना काही प्रश्न पडले आहेत, तर त्यांच्या प्रातिनिधिक स्वरूपात 1-2 प्रश्न तुम्हाला विचारणार आहे.
जरूर जरूर.
तर पहिला प्रश्न असा आहे सर का गेल्या वर्षापासून आपण एक म्हणजे पॅन्डेमिक मध्ये आपण वावरतोय आणि सर्वात मोठा जो आपल्याला अफेक्ट झाला आहे तो आहे का मेंटल हेल्थ. आपलं मानसिक आरोग्य जे आहे ते कुठंतरी एक खालावलेलं आहे आणि इव्हन म्हणजे आपले विद्यार्थी, गृहिणी जेही आपल्या समाजातले सगळे घटक आहेत, तर त्यांना एक प्रश्न पडलाय, तो आहे अनसर्टिनिटीचा. आणि ही अनसर्टिनिटी जी आहे तर ही आपण योगाद्वारे कशा पद्धतीने कमी करू शकतो आणि याच्यावर योगाचा काय उपाय तुम्ही सांगू शकाल आम्हाला?
मराठीत बोलू का इंग्रजीत बोलू?
हो सर, अगदी
मराठीत चालेल.
हो हो
चालेल ना. काय होतं की अनिश्चितता आपल्याला जी वाटते ना, तर ती आपण असं गृहीत धरलेलं असतं की निश्चितता वाटावी असं आपण गृहीत धरलेलं असतं किंवा ती हवी असते आपल्याला, अनिश्चितता नको असते. आणि अशा डायकॉटॉमीमध्ये आपण जर सापडलो तर आपण कायमच त्या द्वंद्वामध्ये जगत राहतो. पण आपण जसं म्हणलं म्हणजे रियालिटी म्हणून पाहायला जर गेलं तर आज मी तुमच्या पुढे जो बोलतोय तर तो माझं जे काही वय आहे, अर्थात माझं वय लपवायचं कारण नाही, जे काही 70 क्रॉस केलंय मी, तर आत्ता मी जो दिसतोय आणि एक 10 वर्षापूर्वी दिसत होतो, 20 वर्षापूर्वी दिसत होतो आणि जर अजून एक 10 वर्ष जगलो म्हणलं तर त्यानंतर जो दिसेल त्या सगळ्यामध्ये परिवर्तन होतंय माझ्या आणि सगळं बदलतंय. आणि बदलणं हा जर निसर्गाचा स्वभाव असेल आणि न बदलणं हे सुद्धा त्याच्या बरोबर असेल आणि दोन्ही एकत्रच असेल तर मला दोन्हीचा समग्र स्वीकार करायला शिकायला लागेल. कारण मी अनिश्चितता नको असं जर म्हणलं तर असं होणार नाही. तर दोन्ही मला स्वीकारावे की निश्चितता ही आहे आणि अनिश्चितता. नाही तर या सिच्युएशनमध्ये काय करायला पाहिजे की मी काय करू शकतो या बाबतीत असा जर विचार केला तर अगदी बेसिक रियालिटी काय आहे की तो व्हायरस आहे आणि तो एक प्रकारचा आहे. कोविड-19 हे त्याचा स्ट्रेन झाला. त्याचे अनेक आता त्याच्या जनरेशन्स निघाल्यात. 1000-2000 तर ऑलरेडी आहेत म्हणजे त्या असं सांगितलं जातं. तर हे सगळे व्हायरसेस आपल्या घशामध्ये म्हणजे नाकाच्या मागे आणि तोंडाच्या मागे तिथे ते वसाहतीने राहत असतात. म्हणजे फक्त व्हायरस नाही तर बॅक्टेरिया वगैरे सगळेच राहत असतात. तर आपण काय करू शकतो ह्याच्या बाबतीत, तर सकाळी आणि संध्याकाळी गरम मिठाच्या पाण्याच्या गुळण्या करणं. आणि गुळण्या म्हणजे नुसतं चोळा भरणं नाही, तर गुळण्या म्हणजे पाणी असं मागे घशात घेऊन असा जो आवाज करून आपण करतो तसं केलं तर त्यातनी त्या सगळ्या वसाहती आणि तिथले सगळे कोविड आणि त्याचे सगळे भावी बंद सगळे वाहून जातील रोज सकाळ संध्याकाळ. हे आपण करू शकतो. नंतर आपण जर कपालभाती केलं, आपण फक्त मी हल्ली सगळ्यांना असं सांगतोय की आपण खोलीमध्ये एकत्र कपालभाती करायच्या ऐवजी खिडकीपाशी उभं राहून बाहेरच्या दिशेने तोंड करून कपालभाती करावी. उभ्या उभ्या केली तरी हरकत नाही. तर त्याच्यात काय होतं की जर समजा आपल्यामध्ये काही ते व्हायरसेस असतील तर ते आपण प्रत्येक श्वासाबरोबर बाहेर सोडू आणि ते बाहेरचं जे व्हॉल्यूम आहे हवेचा तर त्याच्यात ते डायल्यूट होऊन जातील आणि खोलीतच केलं तर ते एकमेकांना इन्फेक्शन होऊ शकेल. पण बाहेर केलं तर तो व्हॉल्यूम मोठा असल्यामुळे इतरांना तेवढा त्रास नाही होणार. तर मुद्दा असा की असं हे आपल्याला करता येण्यासारखं आहे. ते आपण केलं. स्वच्छता आपल्याला पाळता येण्यासारखी आहे, ती आपण पाळली. हातपाय बाहेरून जाऊन आले होते धुणं हे आपल्याला करता येण्यासारखं आहे. अनावश्यक म्हणजे थोडेसे खराब झाले हात तर लगेच धुवून घेणं हे आपल्याला करता येण्यासारखं आहे. तर जे करता येण्यासारखं आहे ते केलं आणि करता येण्यासारखं नाहीये ते सोडून दिलं तर ती अनिश्चितता आपोआप जाईल ना. अनिश्चितता काय आहे तर मला अनिश्चितता नको म्हणलं तर ती जाणार नाही. तर मला या अनिश्चितता आणि निश्चितता या डायकॉटॉमीतनं बाहेर पडायला लागेल. मग ते पाहण्यासाठी काय बघायला लागेल की अनिश्चितता आणि निश्चितता एकत्र असणार आहे हे मान्य करावं लागेल पहिल्यांदा. आणि मला फक्त निश्चितता हवी असं नाही मिळणार, अनिश्चिततेबरोबरच ती असणार आणि दोन्हीचा स्वीकार केला. आता हे मी थोडंसं म्हणजे काय म्हणूयात की हे सुद्धा सगळं समजून घ्यायचं म्हणजे त्याला सुद्धा you have to really give time, quality time to understand the fact that uncertainty and certainty are parts of the same coin and we have to accept it together. We can't say that I just want head and not tail. It's not possible. If you split that coin into two parts, then the coin will not remain current. It will become useless. Similarly, life is full of such dichotomies and we have to learn to accept both at par with each other. असं जर आपण करू शकलो तर मग तो अनसर्टनिटी निघून जाईल. तर करू शकतोय ना आपण ते केलं. आणि जे काय करू शकत नाही आपण की आपल्याला सांगता येत नाही म्हणजे तो करोना अजून ते स्ट्रेन्स मला गाठतील का नाही सांगता येत. पण ही खबरदारी मी घेऊ शकतो माझी की रोज माझी घसा स्वच्छ केला कारण तिथून सगळं तो डोअर ऑफ एंट्री आहे. तिथून सगळे ते व्हायरसेस आणि बॅक्टेरिया आत शिरतात आपल्या. तर तेच आपण थांबवलं तिथे. ते सगळं सोपं होऊन गेलं म्हणजे रिलेटिव्हली सोपं झालं.
थँक्यू सर. आणि म्हणजे अनसर्टिनिटी आणि सर्टिनिटी ह्या दोन्ही गोष्टी निश्चितता आणि अनिश्चितता ह्या दोन्ही सोबत घेतल्या पाहिजे. सुवर्ण मध्ये तुम्ही सांगा
काही चॉईस नाही म्हणजे त्याला काही.
आणि सर तुम्ही आपलं जे पूर्ण या व्याख्यानामध्ये तुम्ही सांगितलं की नात्यामधील संवाद सम्यक असला पाहिजे आणि योग सूत्र जे आहे ते वाचून आपण फक्त चालणार नाही तर त्याचा भावार्थ गाभा आपल्याला समजला पाहिजे असं तुम्ही सांगितलं आणि वैयक्तिक उन्नतीसाठीचा मार्ग पण तुम्ही दाखवला. त्यानंतर बिईंग इनपरफेक्ट इज अ वे टू लिव्ह परफेक्टली. त्यानंतर एव्हरीवन इज युनिक अँड शुड बी अप्रिशिएटेड अशा पद्धतीने तुम्ही सर्व या व्याख्यानामध्ये आम्हाला मार्गदर्शन केलं, आमचा संवाद साधला. त्यासाठी मी विद्यापीठातर्फे स्कूल ऑफ हेल्थ सायन्स तर्फे तुमचे खूप खूप आभार मानतो. आणि मी पुढचं सूत्र जे आहे आपले पुढचे जे व्याख्याते आहेत त्यांच्या परिचयासाठी नमिता जोशी यांच्याकडे सूत्र देतो.
थँक्यू सो मच. थँक्यू. नमस्कार.
We now move to our third lecture for the webinar. We have with us our third speaker, Professor Jadranko Miklic from Croatia. I'll briefly introduce him to all of you. He is a Yogacharya, Yoga and Ayurveda therapist.
Next.
Continue.
He is a Yogacharya, Yoga and Ayurveda therapist, teacher of transcendental meditation and Maharshi's Vedic science, and a herbal scientist. He is the president of Institute for Yoga and Ayurveda and vice president of European Yoga Federation. He teaches yoga in Europe, America, India, and has written several books on yoga. For teaching yoga, he is cooperating with Morarji Desai, National Institute of Yoga, Lonavala Yoga Institute, College of Physical Education, Mumbai and Pune, Bharati Vidyapith, and Savitribai Phule, Pune University, to name a few. We virtually felicitate and welcome Professor Yadranko Mikle. I now request him to deliver a lecture on his topic, Yoga Therapy for Establishing Life in the State of Holistic Health, Swasthya. Sir, please unmute your mic.
आपल्या इथून करा त्यांना ask to unmute.
Yes, now it's okay. Yes. Do you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Excellent. Yes, thank you very much. And dear friends, because as dealing with yoga, from the highest teaching of yoga, we are all brothers and sisters and one great family. And I greet you from that perspective. Vasudeva Kutumbakam. And I'm very happy to participate on this beautiful conference you are organizing. And I would like to share some of my insights into the knowledge of yoga. And especially, I'm very happy that the main topic of this conference is referring to the teaching of Maharishi Patanjali of Atha Yoga Anushasanam. And we know that the Maharishi Patanjali and other great Maharishis like Gautama, Kanada, Kapila, and Gemini, and Veda Vyasa and Maharishi Patanjali brought great contribution to the life on the planet Earth because of their insights in the structure of that field, eternal field, which is the basis of all life, the state of pure consciousness or the state of the being itself. So they had the ability to bring out all that intelligence which is structured there and make it available to the human beings to understand the nature of life, its source, its development, and its goal, and also to bring to us the methods, how we can realize that goal of life about what they are speaking. And so these great Maharishis gave their work in the form of the Sutras in the 6 darshanas or Upangas of the Vedas, like Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Karma Mimamsa, or Uttara Mimamsa and Vedanta. And so in 1 minute, I just would like to connect this with the teaching of Veda, because the Veda is the source of all knowledge. And basically Rig Veda, which is the knowledge. Veda means knowledge. This is the knowledge about Rig. Rig. And the nature of Rig is explained in the first syllable of Rig Veda, Ag. And what does it mean, Ag? So in the theme of the knowledge of the Veda, it is always that the highest knowledge is at the beginning. In the first letter is contained the highest knowledge, which is then elaborated in the first syllable. And then the first syllable is elaborated in the first word. the first word in the first sentence, more and more elaboration. And then first sentence in the first sukta and the mandala and then the whole Rig Veda. It's big elaboration of that total knowledge which is at the beginning and then expanding its inner intelligence more and more clearly in a more differentiated manner to understand the structure of the whole creation. It is like a seed. The letter A is like a seed, and then sprouting the seed opens more of the already present intelligence in the seed, which has all knowledge how the tree will be looking. So the seed within itself has all the knowledge about the whole tree. But then with the time and the process, which we call evolution, what we call evolution is just sequential elaboration of that intelligence in the space and time, but which is present in that seed form eternally. There is no space nor time there. All the intelligence is present every moment in its total value. And this is the state of the total presence, which is beyond time and space. And then we have the whole blossom tree, and then all the aspects of the life of the tree and all the fruits and how they can be used, and everything is then developed by the further expressions of the Rig Veda into Sama, Yajur, Atharva Veda, in the Brahmanas, Upanishads, Aranyakas, Brahmanas, then Vedangas, Shiksha, Kalpa, Vyakaran, Nirukta, Chandas, Jyotish, and then Upangas. This very precious part of the science. And we know that A represents the absolute level of life. Sound is the Shakti of the absolute, of the pure consciousness or the pure being. And then it is explaining its nature. It is at the same time infinity and the point value. Because when absolute becomes conscious of itself, it becomes as collapsed in the structure of a point. G, like the letter G stops everything. And then N, letter N is negation of the point. And E is moving back to A, Agni. It is that pulsation, eternal pulsation from infinity to the point. And this is the nature of the life of the absolute, infinite silence and infinite dynamism, and which is eternal, M, Agni. So the Agni is explaining the nature of the life of the absolute. And this is that the fire of the absolute, that the source of all energy, all intelligence, which is at the basis of the creation of the whole universe. So the first word has the highest power, and then it elaborates more. Agnim ile purohitam yajnasya devam hota aram ratnathatam, and then further. So it's more elaboration, more and more. Like this, the theme of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, each part of the Vedic literature. At the beginning is the highest. In each, the highest knowledge is at the beginning of each part of the Vedic literature. Like this in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, Atha Yoga Nushasanam. That Atha, it's such a powerful word, also beginning with A, and means now. Now doesn't mean just some moment in time that now the teaching of yoga will start, that Maharishi Patanjali will start now exposition on yoga or start teaching yoga at that moment. But now means eternity. Now means total pure presence. Now that Atha is representing the state of being, the state of absolute, because this is eternally now. And the teaching, Anushasana, teaching of yoga is how to be now. It is just to be now. It means to be established in the state of being, to be in the state of samadhi. So Maharishi Patanjali puts at the beginning the highest knowledge about yoga, that yoga is the state of samadhi, that the yoga is the state of pure being, the state as Rig Veda says, that level and that nature. So from that perspective, we can see that Anushasana means the teaching, but which kind of teaching? It is related to the Shastras, Anushasana. And Shastra means direct cognition. So it is speaking also about Maharishi Patanjali himself, that he was established in the state of Samadhi, in the state of eternal now, and he is teaching from his own experience. This is not just like some elaboration, intellectual, about some knowledge about yoga, but this is the pouring out the personal experience gained on the level of pure consciousness, when his awareness was able to go beyond or transcend or nivartadvam or move beyond all the relative fields of existence and find himself on that level of pure being and being awake on the level of pure being, cognizing internal life of the pure being. Then he is giving out in these sutras what is the teaching of yoga. So the first sutra says, Akha Yoga Anushasana means that this is the highest teaching of yoga is to be established in now, in being, in samadhi. Then if this is the meaning of yoga is samadhi, then if you are in samadhi, then the teaching is finished. You don't need the rest of the sutras. But if you are not in that state, if you are not established in the presence of eternal now, in state of samadhi, if that level is not established, then what to do? Then Maharishi Patanjali gives another sutra. How to come to that state and what is the nature of that state, to elaborate more. And then he says, Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. It means if you are not in that state, then you are identified with the different vrittis. And the process is to go beyond the vrittis, to calm down all the vrittis. Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. And vrittis means all the activities of the field of our individual consciousness. So also it's important to understand the proper meaning of chitta, and this is lakshana. The concept coming also from Sankhya, that we know different tattvas and different Sanskrit words which we are using to denote certain fields of life or intelligence, how the life is functioning. To have proper meaning means the sound has exactly the proper meaning. The sound and the meaning is the same, and the meaning is the form, the true form of that sound. So sometimes I came across that chitta is used as mind or as manas. It means like the yoga is the process of calming down the activity of the mind or the thoughts, the thinking process, to stop the thinking process. But if you see the chitta, from where it comes, chitta comes from chit, and chit is referred to the infinite field of pure consciousness, which is Sat Chit Ananda. Sat Chit, which is Sat, eternal, Chit, consciousness, and Ananda, bliss. That consciousness, the field, infinite field of consciousness or Chit, by the virtue of our nervous system, our central nervous system. Our central nervous system, the brain and the brain stem, is as antenna, as a reflector, as one instrument, which is able to stimulate Chit by its proper function and being able to reflect the state of individual consciousness or Chitta. So the Chitta is the field of individual consciousness and the Chit is the field of universal consciousness. So then that field of universal consciousness is just reflected in our individual life as our own individual consciousness, our own individual field of consciousness, Chitta, which has within itself different instruments for its function. One instrument is the manas, another buddhi, ahamkara, then the level of the feelings and all samskaras, the memories and all different aspects which are there. And when Patanjali says yoga chitta vritti nirodha means silence all those activities on all the levels of the chitta so that that field of individual consciousness becomes pure as a pure lake which without ripples. So that mass of water, that mass of individual consciousness has nothing else in itself except itself. Then it is able to reflect its origin, the Chit, and realizes I am the Chit. That Chitta is coming back in its self-realization, that it is Chit, that it is that infinite level of being or consciousness, but still remains, the Chitta remains as individual field of consciousness, but in that individual field of consciousness, you are gaining the realization that you are that. I am Tattvam Asi, I am that. But in reality, it is not fully that. It is just reflection, but anyway, it is the cognition which is then improving all fields of our life. It is transforming our life. It is transforming the state of our Chitta to harmony, coherence, transforming, improving the function of our consciousness, all the aspects of consciousness, the senses, the mind, the buddhi, and the body, and the nervous system, all aspects of life gets nourished through that realization, I am that. As you know that we can compare that state of Chit as sun, which is on the sky, and it shines everywhere and gives its light everywhere. And then you can have a reflection of that sun of some pond of water, one pond of water, and which is kind of some limited space, but still the sun can be reflected. And then if the water is muddy, then reflection is muddy. It's different from its source, origin. But if you purify that water and becomes crystal clear, then that reflection says, I am the sun. It becomes identical to the origin, but still this is the reflection. It is not the origin. So this is self-realization, the realization of that state of samadhi. While we are still alive, we are having that realization, but we are still individual, at the same time universal on that level and individual. But becoming totally infinite or unbounded, we need to drop these physical boundaries and then entering Mahasamadhi and melting completely with the origin, with that state of pure consciousness or pure being. But nevertheless, while we are alive, we have ability through the function of the nervous system and ability to improve the function of the nervous system, all aspects, to give pure reflection. And the human nervous system has that ability because the human nervous system is totally built by that intelligence of Veda. The whole Veda, all the mantras, all the sounds are as aspects of intelligence, which is building up our nervous system and our body to be able to function in such a perfect way to give a reflection of that origin, to give us ability for self-realization. So then, in that sense, Maharishi Patanjali says, yoga chitta vritti nirodha, come calm down all activities, transcend all activities on all levels. On the level of the mind, on the level of the buddhi, ahamkara, everything, you are entering deeper and deeper and then go beyond, even beyond the ahamkara. There is nothing except chitta itself. And then that self-realization comes. So for that purpose, then later Maharishi Patanjali is giving us different methods, the principles, how to practically work on ourselves to be able to reach that experience. And then finally, he gives the again, he's coming back to the first sutra. So if you are not there, now you need to do that, and then you will be there again. But then he is defining more clearly what is that state of samadhi. And then he says, tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. Then the seer, or you, or the essence of that chitta, which is the silent seer, then he becomes established in his own self. He realizes his true nature. Tada drashtuh swarupe avasthanam. Swa means the whole, the wholeness, holistic. Swa, and rupa means the shape. It's in his own color or the shape. You know, the very ancient, the older meaning of the word rupa is the color. Because it can be explained like we are all the time, somehow our identity is colored by the objects. So the subject is all the time colored by the object which he is perceiving. He is never in his own color. The subject is always colored, rupa. It is sarupyam. Vritti sarupyam. Itaratra. Vritti sarupya means that it is always, subject is identified with the vrittis, with the activities, or this, and the process of coloring is there. So then you want to become alone without coloring, and the process of perception is responsible for coloring with the nature of the object. The subject gets colored by the nature of the object. So in the Vedic language, the subject is Rishi. The Devata is the process of perception, and the object is the Chandas. On the level of pure consciousness, on the level of Rig Veda, from where everything starts, there, Rishi, Devata, and Chandas is of the same value. It's all pure consciousness. This is self-referral state. This is that where pure consciousness is conscious of itself. Then it is its own object, its own process, and its own subject. And this is that state of unity, integrated state of consciousness, which in Veda, they say samhita. It's a samhita of Rishi Devata Chandas. Then it means samhita is giving the meaning that there is no difference. There is difference in the concept, but in reality, there is no difference. And this is the highest teaching of Vedanta, that you realize that there is only one. There is only one pure consciousness. Nothing else exists in reality. All other things is just the concept. That concept is explained as by the name of Maya. Maya means that which is not Maya. But still, we are living in the concept which becomes very concrete, and this is our life. So we need to go from these differentiated values between Rishi, Devata, Chandas. We need to come back to the singularity. We need to remove the differences between the subject and the object and the process of perception. We need to reduce these differences and then melting into that one state again and reaching state of samadhi. And this is the process of yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha, where all these three values comes closer together by their nature. They are less and less different. You have different, for example, to calm down the activity of the mind, you can have the mantra or some other aspect, some object, and then slowly you perceive that object on its final level. So from vitarka to vichara to ananda to asmita, melting levels, samapati, and proceeding further and further up to the moment when you go beyond the object. And what is the object then? Your own existence. You become conscious just of your own existence, of your ahamkara. This becomes object. You become object for yourself. And then that process of melting with that state, it is causing expansion of the knowledge about true nature of yourself to the state of tada drashtu svarupa avasthana. So, and this is the tada drashtu svarupa avasthanam is the state of the health. This is the state of the health. Because swa-rupe, swa means the totality, the wholeness, swa. In Croatian language, we say sve. We have very many similar words between Sanskrit and Croatian language. The roots, many words same. Means sve means everything, swa, the totality, and rupa, avasthanam, it means established in the wholeness, swa stha. So from that point of view, for example, from the teaching of Sri Krishnamacharya, his disciple, A.G. Mohan, who studied with Sri Krishnamacharya many years and more than 20 years in his later part of his life, and especially devoting time studying with Sri Krishnamacharya about the principles of yoga therapy and how yoga can be applied for the benefit of the people in the form of yoga therapy. Then he gave the name to his system of teaching, Swastha Yoga. It means the yoga for health, Swastha. Swastha is the health, how to be established. So that name comes from that sutra, actually. So we can say this is the state of the health. And then what is the cause of illness? It is the fourth sutra, Vritti Sarupyam Itaratra. Means identifying with the object, becoming colored, then we become lost. We don't have anymore any kind of stability in us. Our consciousness is all the time identified with the waves in the ocean. This wave, another wave, another wave. And these waves are shaking our life and influencing the condition of our health, our nervous system, and bringing stress and strain and leading to the illness at the end. That process of Vritti Sarupyam Itaratra, where we become identified with these activities. And we are not conscious of our true nature. We don't have any stability in life. And then everything, when we don't have stability in life, then what comes? Then that klesha, abhinivesha, out of this, what Maharishi Patanjali speaks, also beginning of the second chapter starts with a very important topic of tapas svadhyaya ishvara pranidhanani kriya yoga. And then speaks about the purpose of the practice of Kriya Yoga and to do klesha tanukarana, to reduce intensity of the kleshas, so that you can be able to stabilize your consciousness and being able to reduce all the activity and get self-realization. And then he's mentioning this avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, and abhinivesha as 5 obstacles, especially when they come to the udara condition, very expressed in the life of a person, means udara state, then they get transformed into the ripples, into the enemies, our enemies, like the Asmita gets transformed into the egoism, Mada, and then Irshya and the jealousy, and then all kind of anger and and delusion and all these enemies, then is leading our life to the illness, to the state of illness. So everything is because of that vritti sarupya mitaratra. There is no stability. And then abhinivesha, which is the urge to survive, that klesha, which is present in a deep, deep subconscious level of all the beings. Everything what is living, what is existing, has these kleshas as its basis, because we are born with them. These are the basic instincts of life. But if they become very much pronounced in their activity, then becomes problems and obstacles and leading to the illness. Like this, everything what is born wants to live forever, because it has memory that it is coming from the eternal level of life. There is a memory. Why raga is there? Because there is a memory of the fulfillment. We were already in that state, but we lost that experience. But still, deeply, deeply, deep on that level, there is some memory, and there is need of the search for that, desire. I want to come back to the fulfillment. That's why it is expressing. That's why the abhinivesha is expressing itself. I want to live. I don't want to be annihilated or being lost. And then whatever happens in our life, which is causing some uncertainty for us, then we are automatically reacting to protect our life. So abhinivesha is at the basis of the fight and flight reaction related to the stress. The abhinivesha is its basis, because whenever this happens, that we feel uncertainty or we are not feeling safe, then our body will automatically react to protect our existence. When our existence is in danger, then there is automatic mechanism from the deep subconscious level. Autonomous nervous system is getting order. Please organize everything to protect my life, and the autonomous nervous system is doing that. All that reaction of the adrenaline stimulating these glands and hypophysa, and all the endocrine system gets activated, all the hormones entering the blood and preparing the body to be ready to survive, either to fight but to survive or to run away. So this is the from millennium, from the ancient history. Even those who were living in the time of dinosaur, or if they saw, then they got that kind of reaction in their body. So it is the same today. And then if we are having that constant feeling of the existence being in danger, because of why it is in danger, because we are identified with the changeable things. We are identified with all these outer things of our life, with the bank account. If something changed with the bank account, then we get heart beating and sweating and all kinds of things, or something else, whatever it can be outside. That process of identification. And this is then causing this stress reaction, which is bringing the strain and the stress in the function of nervous system, and changing the way of the function of the body from a healthy to unhealthy condition, and all psychosomatic diseases. This is that adhyatmic concept from Sankhya of the suffering, of dukkha traya. Adhyatmic means what we are doing for ourselves. This is all psychosomatic diseases. And who is guilty for that. It is our own inability to maintain awareness about infinite value when we are engaged in the experiencing of the finite values. We are not able to maintain at the same time conscious awareness of our true existence, which is infinite, which cannot be born, neither wait, neither this, what Lord Krishna speaks to Arjuna. Then, if you realize that state in the state of Tada Drashtuk Swarupa Avasthanam, then you become stable. Stable, yoga stach, and then kuru karmani, then live. This is the prerequisite for living, that you get that experience, that you become established in your own self. This is prerequisite for the healthy living. And this is the highest approach of yoga therapy. That state of self-realization, this is the health. This is the health. And the cause of illness is that vritti sarupya vitaratra. And the process of yoga therapy, the procedure is, the method is yoga chitta vritti nirodha. So in the first 4 sutras of the teaching of Maharishi Patanjali, you have all elaboration about the spiritual development or on the level of regaining the health, real state of the health in the life for all levels. One another thing I would like to mention also that in a real sense, if we want to make real justice to the teaching of Maharishi Patanjali, to give proper meaning to his sutras, then because each sutra is having total knowledge within itself, it is enormous, related to the life of all levels of life, all the life on the level of the being, on the level of the mind, and on the level of the body, on the level of the Rishi, Devata, and Chandas. Each sutra is explaining the basic principle which is guiding life on all levels of life, basically on these 3 levels. And then that's why to give real justice to the teaching of Maharishi Patanjali, we would need to make translation of the sutras according to the Rishi, Devata, and Chandas. Three different translations for each sutra, to give the true meaning for each sutra. Because what is the Tada Drashtuk Swarupa Avasthanam? It can be referred to the state of yoga in the state of samadhi, but also it can be referred to the state of yoga in the state of unity consciousness, the highest level of consciousness. The principle is the same. So when you reach that state of pure consciousness, or Tada Drashtuk Swarupa Avasthana, then in that state you will find the vrittis of the absolute level of life. And this is that self-referral dynamic of that field of pure consciousness. And this is the internal activity, internal vrittis. And then karma mimamsa is analyzing the nature of the action on the level of the being. Karma mimamsa is analyzing the structure of the field of pure consciousness. And then through that approach, finally you come to, again, yoga chit vritti nirodha. Not anymore chitta, but then you come to the yoga chit vritti. Then you realize that all that activity is the silence, Vedanta. All the activity related with the exposition of karma mimamsa, Vedanta is again, we can say you have analysis of action of the field of the absolute level of life, karma mimamsa. First you have yoga, singularity, yoga, pure state of pure consciousness. Then you have analysis of that state of pure consciousness or samadhi in the form of analysis of the action of dynamism of the pure consciousness, because the samadhi is structured in jnana and kriya shakti and jnana shakti. And that kriya shakti, which is there creating in the unmanifest field of life, creating all differences, which become basis for the all differences in the manifest creation. And then through that vision of the Brahma Sutras, you find all these activities bringing your consciousness into the state of singularity again. But this is then great singularity, which is bringing you to the state of unity consciousness, seventh state of consciousness, Brahmi Chaitanya. So in that sense, you can see that the teaching of Maharishi Patanjali, these first 4 sutras, it's covering the basic teaching, how to reach all the higher levels of consciousness, and the mechanic and the principle is there explained also. So that's why, as I said, I found very appealing that you put Maharishi Patanjali as a main source and the topic for this conference, and how this can be related, and the knowledge to improve the present condition, and especially the health. That's why I referred this with the yoga therapy principle, but finding the principle of yoga therapy in the first 4 sutras of the teaching of Maharishi Patanjali. Because this is the main approach. And as we know, all the different teachings which Maharishi Patanjali gives as the application of the yoga teaching in all 8 limbs of our life, Asana Yoga, that using any method in a proper way, we will be able to improve the condition of our health using any method from this approach. The best is using all 8 methods in one practice at the same time. And this is that practice of Nitya Sadhana, which is very important for every being on the planet Earth, who wants to be healthy and living the fulfillment in life. The Nitya means eternal sadhana, means practicing at the same time all 8 limbs of yoga, all 8 angas in one practice. And this is what Maharishi Patanjali is giving us as a principle. He is not giving direct instructions how to do that, but giving the principle of what to do. And I would just like to, in a short way, explain some of these principles, what kind of the practice it could be, which can be practiced every day, and for sure it will be giving beautiful results, strengthening immune system, strengthening the health, and the quality of life to be improved, and in accord with that cosmic intelligence. So Maharishi Patanjali starts with the principles of Yama and Niyama. And sometimes we can see these principles and discuss about them on the philosophical level of life. But how to see the practical application of that? So if you go to practice yoga, then you come to some place where you will be alone, that you can be related to yourself, because the practice of yoga is a personal thing. It means it is coming back to yourself. It is not some kind of socializing event in that sense. It is the really personal practice. So you need to find some place where you will be alone, not disturbed by anybody. And then what you do first is just you stay with eyes closed, bringing awareness to your body and becoming aware of some internal activity which is in your body. This you can do in the sitting position or even in the lying position, and changing the lying position, lying on the back, then on the left, right side, and lying on the stomach. Or just in the sitting position, and then with eyes closed, you experience some internal activity inside your body, which is related with the breathing. Something inside, there is some expansion, some retraction. The prana vayu and the pana vayu function is operating on the physical level, causing that space to be expanded and retracted, and causing the air moving in and out. So like this, by observing your own breathing and not being anymore related with the outer world, outside. This is kind of pratyahara, but not in a true sense. Just bringing, drawing your awareness to that level. Then you are entering inside your body. It means you are entering to the visceral part of your life, this inner life of your body. And the life of all internal organs, the internal space, life of internal space of your body is related with the activity of the visceral part of your brain. Not the cortical so much. The cortical is more related when you are active and when you are doing motor activity, sensory activity, 5 senses, jnanindriyas, karmindriyas, and being in interaction with the surrounding and everything. But when you come back inside and relate with the breathing, and then feeling the movement of the air in and out and touch of the air, shvasa, prashvasa, and then feeling how that air makes that space full and where it goes, that feeling that line of the internal movement, which brings the space full and empty, which is beyond the lungs. Then you come to the Pura Karechaka experience. Then you are totally inside, and then you stimulate the visceral brain, which is related with the function of the mind, with the manas, and cortical is more with the buddhi, and the manas, and also all kind of emotions, all kind of things which are suppressed. When you bring your awareness to the breathing, and then this gives stimulation to the visceral part of the brain, that's middle brain, then it will be automatically some stimulation coming of some thoughts appearing in your consciousness, or the feelings, emotions, everything will be coming to the conscious level. And on that level, when you become conscious of certain things and some thoughts, and you have, then you take the principles of Yama as a reference, you know, to bring on the background of the principles of Yama and Niyama, you are bringing all these thoughts to be reflected. And then you are transforming those thoughts into the opposite qualities, pratipaksha bhavana. So you are transforming the condition of your consciousness, your mind. This is the beginning of the practice. So you need to transform the chaotic, negative, any kind of the state of your consciousness into the positive state of consciousness. And this is then the beginning. Then the positive state of consciousness, in that sense, you are bringing that awareness to your body. Because then when the consciousness, the observer is always doing something to the observed. What is the condition of the observer? This will be the influence on the observed, on the body. So then you are ready to start with the practice of asana. And then taking awareness to the body, and in the stretching, releasing tension, everything, preparing, removing all the blocks through the practice of asana, which are blocking the normal function of the vayus. And then you are vayu shuddhi doing, opening the breathing body so that you feel that expansion, retraction is moving everywhere in your body, because you brought to the tonic condition all the muscles of your body, you remove the tensions. And then in that breathing body, you find prerequisites to start the pranayama. And then entering with pranayama deeper and deeper, and pratyahara, and then dharana, and going beyond, and dhyan, transcending, and reaching to the state of samadhi, how much it is possible in each sitting. So this is, in that sense, one kind of approach. So in that way, I would like just to conclude. And if there are any questions, and I'm happy to answer. Yeah, because I saw that there is maybe some questions, time for questions. So that's why I stopped further.
Thank you, sir, for being with us all the way from Croatia. Sir has very beautifully explained Veda, meaning of our theme, Atha Yoga Anushasanam, what is being or transcending in a state of samadhi now, which is the highest state of being. The mind or chitta should be in a state of rest, peace, and happiness, like a lake without ripples, that is Satchit Anand. One should go beyond ahankar to attain self-realization. Thank you, sir, for being with us and sparing your valuable time. I just have one question to ask you. Could you please share with us how to go beyond ahankar and what are its benefits?
Yes. The ahankara is I am. Just that feeling of identity. It means signifying I. Aham. Ahankara. So when you reduce all the vrittis, other activities, so it is always I am thinking, I am seeing something. Then the seeing drops. Then I am thinking can be there. And the thinking drops, then I am feeling, the feeling drops. I am in relation with something, with some object. But when you go beyond the object, there is nothing else. All the vrittis stops. Then the last vritti which is there is the feeling of I. And that feeling of I only remains. And because there are no other activities, there is already some very expanded state of consciousness. But still, in that state, you feel just I. Just I remain, and there is nothing else except I. And this is the condition where all the activities reduced, mental activities. It means that all prana is withdrawn. All the vayu function is withdrawn. There is no physical activity. Vayu, the life energy, is related to the physical activity of the body. You stop all the physical activity. So the practice of asana. And then you stop all the activity of the prana. It means you come to the sushumna. There is no anymore activity through Ida and Pingala or other, just withdrawing prana back to sushumna. And then this is big void, experience of a big void. They call this dirgha tamas. Dirgha tamas, prolonged, expanded void and darkness. There is nothing. It is beyond ananda even. This is that level of asmita samadhi. When you start just being aware, I am there, nothing else. And this is the beginning of a real transcending. You see, this is the big. Then what happens when you start becoming melting with that nature of I? Then what happens is that in that big void, that space, something starts to open. another reality of yourself, which starts to cause enormous expansion and the light. So from that prolonged darkness, Dirgha Tamas, you are entering the Madhu Chandas condition. And this Madhu Chandas is opening of such a rejoice that you are coming back to your own reality, that the tears will go down and your heart will be starting beating 200 in a minute from a moment where everything was stopping. Your heart beating stopped. Your breathing totally stopped. Everything was stopped. But this is not the real, this is Ananda Samadhi. This is Asmita Samadhi. This is not Asamprajñata Samadhi experience. This is still Samprajñata Samadhi. And then real expansion comes. But you need to stay for a certain time there, in an innocence. It is taking some time, and then it happens. That opening happens, and then all the rejoice, like you are meeting someone millions years who is the most dear to you, you lost. And you are coming back, you are embracing that your own true reality. And it's such an expansion. Then the light, infinite light expands, infinite bliss, and the body needs to sustain. That's why the nervous system must be prepared for that. It must be very strong to sustain. We can speak about awakening of Kundalini Shakti that it is causing. Then when everything comes to Sushumna, everything stops. This becomes prerequisite for the real awakening of Kundalini Shakti. And then it happens, and then it is raising, and then it is not under your control anymore. And it is taking over you. It is overtaking you, we can say. And you are just surrendering. For you, there is no other option than just to remain in the state of surrender and float in that expansion, and then the body becomes light. It can happen even your body comes up in the air in the spontaneous levitation. Everything is transformed. The whole personality, not only on the level of consciousness, but on the level of physiology, gets transformed. It's a very strong experience in that sense. So.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Very beautifully explained. I now request our audience to ask any questions if they have. You can unmute from your side and ask.
And then once you get that experience, it's such a strong, you cannot, it is the most concrete experience in the life. All the rest is like a dream. Then it stays as a memory. It's the highest impression, which is removing all other impressions. They are not important anymore. And it remains and supports the life, supports all whatever you do in your life, supports your health, your thinking, everything. And that's why the main aim of yoga is to get to that experience, which Maharishi Patanjali speaks in a principal way. But the practice is the practice through the masters. You learn which way to move inside, back to yourself.
Sir, there is a question asked by Lokmudra Ghosh. He says, many people say that animal protein is essential for health. What does yoga say about killing animals?
About killing animals. The animals are our friends. It's our family. And how you can kill your own family. So, and I can tell you that from animals we can gain a very great lesson about the life. I was just in 2 minutes, I was, I think 2 years back in Kumbh Mela. It was a big gathering in Varanasi, not Varanasi, but where Ganga, Yamuna, and
Deoprayag.
Yes, Prayag, yes, Prayag. And that day was about 40 million people, a special day. And I was with them moving there and enjoying nothing. And after that, I came back and in the room and sleeping. And I had one very interesting dream. I was dreaming I am somewhere on some hill, and I saw some animals standing in front of me. And there was one deer, beautiful deer, with his horns, and then other animals around him. And then I was standing in front of them and asking them why they are here. They told me they want to tell me that they are afraid of the people. And I was asking why you are afraid of the people. And then that deer influenced me in a way that I entered into the sleep, but it was not kind of a sleep because I was aware in that conscious, but he pushed me into the state of experience where I was feeling that state beyond ahamkara, beyond, which is the eternal goodness. Eternal goodness, which is all good. And that kind of universal love and goodness and everything. So then the animals wanted to tell me if people would leave that state, they will not be afraid of the people. Why they are afraid of the people? Because they are established in ego. And then while they are still in the ego, they will be dangerous. They are dangerous. They are killing each other, but killing animals also. So the teaching of yoga is go beyond that ego, realize your true nature, which is all goodness. Then you live in peace and in harmony with all beings, not only humans, but animals, the trees, the nature, and you take care of each other in a harmonious way and in a natural way. And that goodness is that quality. And one more thing, I met Mataji many years back. She was living with Mahavatar Babaji in Nainital many years, and I met Mataji and speaking with her, and she told me when Mahavatar Babaji was living his last now existence of the body in which he was present, and she was keeping his head in her lap, and then she was asking him how I will recognize you when you come back again. And then he said, you will recognize me in the eye of, like young of a deer, this small animal. It's such an innocence, such goodness in the eyes of these animals. You find such innocence and goodness. And this is the quality of the yogis. So leading to that, then there is no question about killing the animals.
Thank you, sir. It seems there are no more questions. Transcending into samadhi and experiencing the magic is indeed miraculous, the message which you have shared. We have completed all the lectures for today. Our speakers have enriched us with valuable knowledge about yoga, which we can apply in our day-to-day life. Tomorrow we have 3 speakers, Dr. Natalia Solve, Dr. Manmat Gharote, and Dr. Vijay Srinath Kanchi, who will deliver lectures in the webinar. Audience, thank you for joining us on Zoom and YouTube. Please fill the feedback form in the comment box. Kindly note that certificates for attending this webinar will also be provided. So we'll meet tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. for the rest of the session. We now have Shanti Part prayer for ending the session. So do practice yoga and take care of yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste.
सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्।